same as watching them. So here is how I would watch if I was doing it as work, as part of like learning, looking, seeing what other people are doing, comparing it to the ideas that I have in my head of the game, and seeing, how things go from that point of view. So, game one. SK versus BDS. As before, we'll kind of jump through a little bit of the draft, get to the end point so that I can talk about it. No idea why they don't have a ban here. If anyone's watching and knows, let me know. Is it going to be the Gwen on 5? So, we'll see what they actually pick. Okay, it's Rumble on 5, by the way. Like, that's already a bit different from how we've seen it mostly. We've seen Rumble really, really strong and picked a lot early on. So Skarner ban always, Maokai ban. Maokai's super high prio in the LEC, still hasn't been that high prio in other regions. I think in top leagues, including the LEC, last time I checked, it was like the 15th highest prio pick, but in the LEC, it's 100%. So I think that's a little bit to do with how we play in Europe, how they play in the LEC especially, and those kind of things. Victor's the same, a little bit worse in other regions, especially Eastern regions, a little bit lower priority. But stuff like Kalista, much higher priority in those regions. So a lot of the more early aggressive picks that really need to hit certain windows hard. So you can understand that. Then on blue side, you get much more freedom in terms of what you want to like target ban. So Ambessa, especially if you're setting up for a first pick Cassante, one of the easy trades. Zyra starting to become very strong as these like AP junglers that just farm up, and especially if you might want to take something like a Vi, we've seen it as an answer to that a lot. And once again, if Isma doesn't want to play it, then these kind of target bans are really useful. Because if you start banning stuff that you might play as well on blue, then you need to like recreate all the drafts over and over again. So, okay, this is maybe a bad example because it's the first one, but especially like on third ban on blue side, I'd never like to have something that is flexible, but also might be a target because then, sorry, might be a power ban, because then it might affect all our other drafts, So you might have one where you say, okay, look, we're going to ban Maokai unless they ban Maokai. So here they ban Maokai, so we get another ban. But if this other ban is something you play too, then you need to like recalculate all the drafts over and over again. So it can get quite confusing. So Cassante first pick, we've seen this a lot in other regions, especially just super, super difficult to punish. Good in the lane swap as well. Good lane most of the time too. We've seen 113 on the Nidalee last time where they built this poke comp, again, with these two other champs as well. So this kind of like set combo, which often happens with these poke comps, is that you have combo of champs that are like good. So we had like Kai'Sa Jace was a while where it was AP Kai'Sa bot lane, those kind of things. Again, make these poke comps very, very strong. And now at this stage, where you're playing these three versus these, I mean, one of Cassante's weaknesses is he doesn't have that much engage for a tank in top lane. I mean, he has some. He not exactly has many weaknesses, but it's slightly better. Slightly better than some of his other strengths, or slightly weaker than some of his other strengths. Victor, scaling mage in mid lane, again, doesn't offer. And same actually with the Xin. Like, I think if BDS have shown these range comps before and you run these three, you're already in a little bit of a tough situation. From my point of view, I would much rather ban stuff for the comp than for the matchup. But those are just different strokes. I think both of them can work. So Kalista ban maybe, but because she also has the engage, but I would do Kalista Ashe. And if they play Ezreal here, like, don't you just super hard outrange them? And they have now no engage anywhere. And the Braum, I'm not a massive fan. So Rel, I think even with range comps, you want to be playing the fight slowly. You don't ever just only win from poke. It's poking, getting people to a certain level of health, and then looking for engages. So it's not like bad to have engage or anything like that. I like the Rel here, very strong. For me, this Braum, I guess you've got the Ashe. So maybe they have enough tools to get on people. But as we discussed before, a very easy way to look at the draft, sort of simplistic, but I think it works for the comps, is who has to engage and can they? So SK absolutely have to engage because eventually poke is going to land, and also the Rumble ult can even be used as poke. Can they? I think it's hard. I think Rel can mark Xin or Cassante, people like that. Rumble can mark the other one, and then it's quite difficult. The Ashe gives you a lot more than a lot of other AD carries, of course, but we'll see as the game progresses. I'd probably already from the draft much rather be on BDS's side. But SK's comp sucks. That's a bit brutal. I think it is a bit strange. It wouldn't be how I would draft it, but didn't expect that from the cast at least. So as before, we'll go through it ×2, just so that we're not like stuck watching any of the little ones, and then we'll. Especially after this, we'll see Giants can join the fray. But right now, SK fighting stand absolutely sunken if they don't get a win against BDS. But yes, they don't win to get themselves comfortable to become Summoners Road, and we welcome you back to the LEC for our final week of the regular season of Winter. Okay. Right, it's final week. Okay, so if SK lose, they're already in a tough spot, right? Are they out if they lose? So Braum's super strong level 1, so you want to be doing something almost always. You win like any plays. Let's see about the lane swap. Who would we rather lane swap? I think you'd rather lane swap as SK. I don't know what this bot lane matchup is like though. And this is another reason why like I'd much rather pick just something that's good for the comp with Braum, because you can always lane swap. And BDS maybe are already calling it because of the Braum. They know that enemy's going to hard invade, and then they already call the swap. And now it's too late. You can't go to the other side. So we get matched lanes on the other side, because like Rumble is just much worse than the swap. So I'd much rather have SK gone for something that's much better for the comp than the Braum, and just actually worked out and like really played hard for the swap. Kabir finally in for a chance stream. Welcome. They crest the wave in top. It's going to be split jungle. Nidalee doesn't mind that. It's clearing fast. Nidalee, one of the things you often get is these pairings with like strong top laners who also have the CC, like Renekton obviously being the absolute classic, which they don't have at all. But the Rumble, again, I like for the comp. The poke from Rumble ult in these like tense situations where you're both watching on either side can be a really big deal. Okay, Rika's basing. Rika gets a push, so that means they can actually use 4 people for the start. I'm assuming it's Rika's TP. Yeah, I was going to say, if Kasante's TPing, this is super troll. So, can they 4v2 the dive? The turret ramp, by the way. I mean, still absolutely worth. Isma's trying to slow people down. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So they don't have like super instant CC or anything like that. Xin does a lot of damage. I think you do need the Victor. Coming forward, they heal straight away before Ignite comes in to ruin it. Braum starts tanking. He knows he's going to. Okay, he should know he's going to die. He shouldn't flash. He should just die. And now Nuke is trying to stop Isma base. I wonder what happens here. Oh, what? Where is Nidalee? Okay, how is Nidalee getting here so fast? So if we look at Nidalee, she just legs it up and she's just that fast. Okay. Yeah, so 113 just legs it up the whole way. He's going to take the next scuttle, but when Nuke stops the resets, he can just keep following this up. So it's going to be, I think, really good for BDS. So Isma can't get support and does die. So it's 3 for 2. I think when you have these kind of champs, forcing this dive. Okay, now we can actually see it. So they stop to try and kill, but then because 113 is here so quick, Rahel also flashes. Like, this is just really bad. And this is like, I mean, you've also lost a bunch in mid that we didn't see, because he crashed the wave and then came to top. And your top lane is like completely fine. So this already is just really not a good state for SK, because I think their draft is really going to struggle. And I mean, it's not Poke Varus, I guess, but it is AD Jace and Nidalee still. Oh, I was trying to control it like it's a replay. I think even when grid is fixed, I can't show you guys ruffle files. I think I'm not allowed to. Unfortunately, I might ask, but don't think I'm allowed to.
And you know the half of it is as well. Well, SK initially traded good. The thing we have to talk about is how well Rumble does into Cassante lane. And why a lot of the time when you're first picking Cassante, you ban away this Rumble.
So Isma comes through mid and just hard forces on mid. So he's then going to go for the grubs. And Braum is moving. So the reason that BDS don't contest this is not actually because of mid, because you can see mid is actually still like fine. But it's because Braum is moving, and so they will not be able to contest. And so they will then not be able to contest this thing. So we'll see what Braum does. But you see a lot of times in lower levels of competition, okay, maybe not ERLs, but like lower tiers of ERLs, not respecting this and fighting it. Because in here, when you're watching, if you're not paying attention to these little changes, you don't see like why they're not contesting this thing or like why this thing is not happening. So Braum comes towards mid, they go through mid.
They moved the Brahmin towards mid lane, so maybe just the fact that they had the map movement here. But if I was BDS, I would have 100% been contesting this. I think you're in a good spot with
I don't think you can contest this. You can't fight this with Braum here, so that's why they get it. And instead, you just play on the other side of the map. This is good from BDS. And then even though it's going to happen after grubs, this is still the cross map. So this is something I talk about a lot. Like when we talk about cross maps, at least in the way I talk about it, it's stuff that's happening because of the other thing. It's not stuff that's happening at the same time. So because you pushed mid and you used your resources of the Braum to run towards the grubs, and you secured the grubs with the bot move. So bot push went into mid, which secures us grubs. You then lose the push for the next sequence because Braum went that way, and you also lose push in bot because Braum wasn't there. And so now this crash, and this is what you're trading for the grubs. So two plates and a crash. And Isma then going from here to the Gromp, I don't like. Because I think already we need to be thinking about how we recollect bot side. Already we're thinking like, how do we retake? So he's now going for Gromp, which means they're going to be able to, well, not only does he lose a camp, but they're also losing all of this. They just keep losing. And now Isma's going to start coming down. But he's going to get caught by doing this, I think. Yeah, so he just gets really caught. He's just late on the next play because he doesn't take Gromp, and then tries to walk around all behind and collapse. So from my point of view, I think that's a lot of that is just taking the Gromp for no reason. I think you have to work out like how are we going to retake the side, and either you do the bot roam and you keep going the whole way and you try and play on top side while enemy is playing on bot, and then you send like Cassante towards bot lane maybe, although he doesn't have TP, but he's at least harder to dive or harder to threaten. He's better on the weak side. But I think really what you should do is just take this and then already be recalling to reclaim bot lane and just reclaim it through the lane rather than just running around. Because as soon as you run around here, you know that this whole area is danger. So yeah, they like, okay, Nuke sees him, I think. He doesn't even get seen on a ward, he gets seen by a person. But still, that whole situation is found out from, yeah, it's just how they retake their weak side on that. BDS prioritizing just getting the gold, and SK are going to run for the next objective. Relevant has a push in top. Braum comes through mid. And while BDS are in base, they're able to take control back of the area. So they're going to get grubs and they're going to get dragon, but they're behind in a competition that I think needs to be ahead. He also knows Jace is there now. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So as soon as this happens, oh wait, sorry. As soon as this happens, where we've pushed through mid, but as soon as enemy pushes through mid and goes towards this side, the way that I always tell my players, this is the enemy territory. So just like you wouldn't just walk in blindly here into the enemy territory now, because they've put their time going this way, this whole side of the map is the enemy side of the map. So the question is, how do we retake that? And bot lane needs to be saying, like, we need you. We need Zin to come. Because they lose so much for those grubs. And then Zin just like walks into the enemy side of the jungle, basically. So it's always hard to get people to actually like feel it in the game, like how dangerous it is to go into that area. I think it's just a bit of a silly mistake, but a good way to think about it for your own games is, right, this is the enemy side of the map. So I think it's kind of like one thing goes wrong and everyone jumps in and tries to save the single chip instead of just going for the life. So I think that's kind of what the problem with SK is in a lot of situations. This is one of those situations where I think he just dies, right? Yeah. So this is one of those things where we've got push in bot and we've got push in mid. So we start the dragon, but we don't have as much time from the push as it takes to do the dragon. This is why it's really useful to think about tempo in terms of time and not in terms of this like on-off switch, because time is a resource and time runs out. So however long it takes Jace to push this wave and then come, that's how long tempo we have in mid lane. And however long it takes Varus and in this case Rel to push through bot lane and come, that's how long we have tempo in bot lane. And they don't have enough time to take this dragon for fully free. I still think you can take this because especially with the comps, I would want to be stacking dragons. But this is how like Isma dies here. And I think if Rika just hits the dragon and we do the dragon a bit quicker and Ashe comes to the dragon and hits it, then that's the other way that we do it. So we actually take the dragon quicker, which means that the time it takes us to do the dragon is enough covered by the lanes. Whereas it doesn't happen, so Isma dies here. So it's 2k lead already at 10 minutes, and like this game already is ridiculously hard. Great, you got dragon and grubs, but it's not worth. And now tempo is kind of still even, but BDS gonna. I mean, I don't know why Ashe is going back bot lane, by the way. So you know grubs are coming up. There's we have to go through mid. Like bot lane is fine. If we want to fight for this, we have to go through mid. Kind of in their favor. Yeah, the problem is if they lose here to BDS then go to 3 and 4. Oh yeah. And then yes, they're playing against Rogue, so they have maybe that step up to try and get over them, but they then need Heretics to lose every other game this weekend. Okay. So they're going to give up the grubs and they're going to play hard on the other side of the map, and that's why Ashe went to that side. And they just try and get Gromp here, like cheat Gromp on the other side, but they don't manage it. So they're just going to get pushed away from this side. And this is exactly what he didn't do last time. Like, okay, now this is the enemy's territory. Because the enemy is pushing this way, so we're going to go that way. And now Irrelevant just needs to know, like, Irrelevant is now thinking, okay, it's like I'm standing, like, yeah, it's under my tower, but it's imagine if my tower was here. So, like, I'm in danger. So the thing is that he flashes away. It's going to be very difficult for him to threaten the dive, and at any stage, he can just ult to clear the wave. I actually just made a video for No Way of the kind of thing that you need to be thinking when you're on weak side in a competitive game. And what you should just be thinking is it's all about the wave. And like, I'm fucking smurfing if I can just clear this wave. So Rumble always has that option. He can just lay down the carpet and he's just waiting for the right moment to do it. But the play took them so long that they're actually going to be able to be matched. Yeah, so now BDS are going to get pushed through mid, and now they're going to actually be able to collapse. Because Grub's died now, so already now you're on a timer. Like, maybe you take... Okay. At least he does manage to get the Gromp. So he lost his Gromp, but took enemy Gromp. And now, like, Isma's just dead. They're just too slow to do anything. Let me see if there's anything else they could have gone, or like, how do they get there quicker? Like, how do they actually make a good play on the bottom side of the map? The problem is you can't, because if you stack up the wave...
Watch the first 2 weeks, and a lot of these same
if you stack up the wave, then Rumble takes it.
Changing coaching style, changing structure, changing the parts that I think made them strong. Like, sure, Niski towards the end of the year, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, had a bit of a slump, but over the year, Niski kind of was this reliable force, this great
Yeah.
laner that I think... I mean, we had
You're right. Like, I don't know why he's taking Raptors here. Like, in this... Oh, wait. No, sorry, wait. I jumped further back. Sorry. Jumped further back. I got confused. Okay. Now it's this place. Okay. I was looking at a whole sequence off. So he's trying to take a few things on the weak side. If you don't want to match, I think it's already rough if you don't want to match, but I think you are too far behind to match.
Yeah, the problem is if they lose here to BDS, BDS then go to 3 and 4. Oh, yeah. And then yes, they're playing against Rogue.
So
Step up to try and get over them, but they then need Heretics to lose every other game this weekend.
mid lane is like fairly even, and it's because they lose control of mid lane so quickly as well. So they're not even, they don't even have like, yeah. So Varus is still able to catch this really high. Isma takes Raptors, a respawn of Raptors, rather than make this play. But in that case, like, you can't go for the Gromp. So if you're a jungler, one of the things that you can think about is whenever you're trying to take like multiple different objectives, the best way to do it is obviously not as simple as this, but in most cases, you take the furthest one first and then you come back and take the other one. So if you're in solo queue and you might take enemy Raptors, and there's also Scuttle up, for example, because you see the enemy gank bot and you see that his Raptors are up, you take enemy Raptors first and then you come back and take the other thing. And taking this here first and then going this way, it means you run out of time.
I just don't see a world where if they lose this game, yes, there are outcomes that make them exist in playoffs. I just don't see those outcomes as very likely, especially when they have to try and beat Fnatic and they can't have a pick up a win.
Yeah. So now on the cross map, you got nothing. You got Gromp and died. So I mean, honestly, this game is maybe not worth watching from that one. They're 3k down at 10 minutes, and they have a comp that I don't know how it would win if they were 3k up at 10 minutes. Well, at 3k up at 10 minutes, any comp can win, but 3k up at 20 minutes, and I think it's still almost impossible for SK to actually force something to happen. Okay, I mean, I'm probably going to just let this one play out because this is already a super tough situation.
From this case, I think you just continuously look for the push with ice, and you can already see they're starting to set up this vision control on the bottom side of the map. See here and here, and you just gotta play for the push in mid to set up further vision control and just make the game really difficult for SK to try and play. Because again, without any real engage tools, you don't really get punished for being a bit more aggressive on it. So even if like Ice gets hit, he's got the cleanse. You're kind of looking for either 1-1-3 or actually Paris to be the ones that really get engaged on here.
And it's just going to be a bit of a chill situation. It's really good for BDS to just keep chilling. They don't need to, but they were just going to keep farming faster, and they're going to keep. They're in a better situation the later the game goes on, and it's really hard for SK to make anything happen because you're just now going to get pushed in mid, which is obviously harder. So Isma's going to try and make a play in mid, but you just Ice just cheats towards the side with his support, like not support player, but like his team side. And so Isma can't just run across, and now you just play through mid into bot. And this I like from Ice. This is something that we do sometimes incorrectly. He comes to this side, so not only does he protect himself because he moves out of mid lane, but he also like fogs towards the play, and he just waits on a pink ward because he's thinking like, firstly, I don't need to come down to secure this play because me not being there in mid already is enough threat because the play works fine 3v2, and I can come if like more people like run. He also acts as a spot for vision, but the main thing is that he can then hopefully get back towards mid lane like a little bit quicker when he wants to. So Ice just waits here. And now Ice just like slows him down as much as possible and then leaves and comes back to mid lane. And so on the next play, he's still gonna he's cleared mid lane again. So now Rika's like desperately trying to make a play on top side because we just got a wave crashing in. That's the yeah. I mean they're so desperate already. Like this is what Paris being here quick is what Isma should have done for the Grubs. I mean, yeah, it's so tough this game. I think I think it, like this is the problem in these short splits. Like I think it's already everyone just feels like it's doomed.
Field sharing strike and the support gets it done. SK defending a large in mid after a ultimate from Ice is sent out, but a 1-1.
But look at Boss. We're about to take a tier 2 turret ball lane. The Jason's just working away on it. So Paris gets the kill back. Reeker, but,
So this play is so desperate. Like teleporting top lane because we just got a wave crashing in.
This does feel like our first real massive, like, with that draft gaps,
And this is like, okay, we really have to do this because we've got nothing to do.
yeah, and that's where it's there's always the like.
But the trade doesn't even work. You know, it's 1-for-1 with a lot of time spent that way. You got Ice's cleanse somehow that we didn't see. I guess he just caught an Ash ult in mid lane, so that's good. That means next time Ash ult comes up, that's your way. That's your way in. That's your one shot, your one opportunity. But it's hard. It's really hard. Okay, that's what they needed. That's your one. That's your, like we said, that's your one shot. Your one thing that you can do, and they did it. And Ice is too far forward because he needs to know this is that only play as well. So Ice can know already, like, this is that only window to do anything, is that I have no cleanse. And if he needs more support on this next wave, then he needs it. So if they want to play for the Herald and they want to take this wave, and Ice needs to be saying, okay, you need to be with me. Like, not close, with me. Or he has to flash the ult. And he can stand here if he's willing to flash the ult. Like, even, I'm saying this before I'm looking at the fight. I'm saying this, even if the fight goes well for BDS, because they're so far ahead, this is still the best kind of fight for SK. So even if this one is like, might even be 60-40 BDS winning, you know? But that's much better than any other fight. And he does get his tools off, yeah, so they just kill. I mean, they're just so disjointed. Like, they just don't know what they're... I think they're just so desperate already. Yeah. So, I mean, okay, right, the fight went 2-for-1, but still that's the best case possible for SK, and also it's the most went 2-for-1 because they fucked up the second half. So this for Ice is really bad. You do this in a more even game, and this can be very difficult. But now, like, Rika walks in, Loopy's just standing there. Like, you can't. You've got no engage as well. You've got no engage left, so it's just. I think it's so hard to play this game. They can trade a turret while BDS are playing with that Herald. No, bot lane in the tower's not as low as I thought it was. But you have a Herald, and any siege situation is really good. Cleanse is back up. Flash is down, but Cleanse is back up. So if you're going to flash, when you're stepping on that wave, you need to just flash. Yeah, and there you go. Already some poke lands on the wave. You can't engage on the wave, so you have to wait for, like, you have to play for some really mega flank. The arrow misses, and so now you already have to 3v4 back away from mid lane. Like, and this is a disaster because Jace is pushing top, Rumble setting up bot push. And they just can't engage. They just can't engage. Like, I mean, they just can't. They just can't do anything. They just literally on mid lane 3v4, and they know there's 4 people there, but they can stay there because they just can't do any. Like, they can't get engaged on. I mean, we can watch it again, but I don't think there's really much to go into in these kind of games. Do ask any questions if you have any, like, about this, because I don't really know what to say when you're in this situation. Like, I'm trying to just be nice. It's 3v4, and they know there's 4 people here. They saw Isma a second ago, and they still... And you see Isma coming out, and you still know that, like, you're fine. Like, Jace is covering. And here they can play slower. They just know they're so far ahead, I think. So Rumble TP's in. Engage on 2.
riveting watching these fights play out as SK can't get a single recipient outside of Harris who ran to them.
So it ends up being 1-for-1, but they lose like 2 towers and a dragon on that same sequence. And again, I think BDS can play it slower, but they just don't need to. They're like 5k out.
It's the same question I have about this game. Like, what are they doing here?
How can you, like, it's just a mess. I don't get the mid-jungle combination of players for SK. Any thoughts? Rika Isma? I don't, to be honest, because like Rika I think is quite a different player than last time he was in the LEC. He looked quite different on SK with Skewmont, on not SK, on BDSA with Skewmont, but I think he's quite flexible as a player, or has been in ERLs at least, but in LEC he's been a bit more rigid. I don't really have any big thoughts about them, to be honest. I don't think. I think. Trying to think of the best way to say this. I think that Niski always makes his junglers look better, and I think if you're used to playing with that, I do think Rika can sort of be a similar style, but I think in the games it's just very different in terms of like the calls and stuff. But I don't know enough about Rika. I know that people I respect were very excited about him multiple times, both for this split and for last split, as in last time he came into the LEC. But I think the kind of player he was in the LEC with the pressure and with the high level of competition just never translated to before. So I have heard Rika described in a lot similar ways as someone like Niski, in which case I do think it's a good combination for someone like Isma, who can be very, very aggressive. But like here specifically, I think it's they've got so many problems. I mean, this game they just have so many problems. In all their games, they've had lots of problems. Here, I don't know how you win this draft anyway, without the enemy just making a lot of mistakes. Yeah, now they get Azcan with the push through top, and you can't check this because you just get hit by so much poke. So they're trying to just Hail Mary a play, but they all just have this false life. And this looks like good in a way because, okay, you traded 3 for 4, which would be great, but the only reason you are able to even get anyone is because they're engaging on you because they know they have a false life, you know? So 4 people are dead. The only good thing about it from SK's point of view is that we didn't do this a couple of minutes later where they could also take Baron, I guess. So instead you're going to lose this in a tower. Yeah, you can't hold both, so you try and hold the side one, but now you lose both, and you just have no control of the jungle. You have no way to engage. You have no way to take it back, and it's just really doomed. So it's a tough one, and I think you should just ban Ashe rather than Ezreal. By the way, I think this is even harder winning the draft if you just ban Ashe. Maybe if you ban Ashe, they take an engaged support, and then then they have that tool instead. But I think this Braum is useless. It's just completely useless in this game. You have to just take more engage. Already with these first 3, I don't like the Xin, and they've shown these poke comps. But you also can't take that 4-5. I think the Ashe is really good. I think it's the best AD carry pick, just because it's the one with the best engage. And then support just any other support. Even like Alistar and stuff, who's not the best engage, is a million times better than Braum. I'm not going to stop and look back at this. I can if anyone wants, but a 10k lead, and also it's impossible for anyone to engage on you. I think this is, and especially as the game that, okay, I mean, he's just, I think a bit of fun gaming, trying to play for this when there's no reason to, and there's nothing to gain from doing this, and your support's coming soonish. And it's third dragon, and it's ocean as well, which is super obnoxious for poke comps. So they can't get that much with the Baron because of relevant ints, so there's that at least. Thank God for little miracles.
I don't think it matters too much. Again, like even without the Baron buff, the siege from this BDS composition when they get set up is insane.
I mean, SK are trying to push against that now. They group up mid. They want that mid outer tower that's been sitting there for 28 minutes of the game. Arrow comes through onto ice, instant cleanse away.
And then you cleanse that only engage. And now Isma's really low, and you just play the fight slowly.
I see a teleport tactor. It's irrelevant. And he's got a bone to pick with his old roll. He lays down the carpet, and it's brand new. Take your shoes off, because BDS are coming in. And once that door's
Yeah.
again,
I mean, you have all control of this like fight situation. You can play it as slow as you want. You have more engaged than the enemy.
As Dagda said, only 2 wins accountable now. SK, it does feel, and it looks like this was their chance, but it has been beaten down every single portion of this game, starting in the draft.
Well, so that's not a close one.
Will knock down SK to open up their last week of regular
We'll jump into the next draft. I'll let the draft play out because I just quickly go to the toilet. And we'll see the GX versus Fnatic draft, and I'll pause it when I'm back, and we can talk about all of it.
That's the kind of premier AD carry that is there. Well, it looks like they're Cork themselves instead.
Woo, Corky fans unite. Well, upset Dagda, no, you, because before my program was working, this is the first upset Corky, but it is a flex. I mean, Unite pulled this out before, we know EU. Some teams are willing to flex it around, so not defined just yet. It looks like Giants want to lock in an AD carry at least for a response and give Nora a bit more playmaking.
Yeah, I'm curious actually to end up as Fnatic, Rendy nature composition with a big Frost in here on the top side, maybe split the Jace, and then you can always opt in towards like the Zyra Khan, I think for Mickey and for Upset, because especially when you've got the while on the upside having something that has a self-heal too, is just really, really nice. Also just relatively well into being able to farm up if you want to play into that Ezreal, but Aurora going to be taken here, so that's definitely something we've seen a lot of over like the LCK, the LPL. Has that effect as well, can go top, can go into mid, so I think that's where we'll be waiting to see exactly what the game plan is here, but looks like for Fnatic, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of going for the Kaiser here. I think holding that Corky flex is actually more vital here, but now they're just going to go back towards it again.
Dagda, you're not going to believe me when I say this, but is this our first Aurora? You think surely not? I've just been watching LPL, LCK over and over. I know it's been banned a couple of times, it's actually been banned 6 times. It's never been picked.
No pick. Yeah, kind of crazy because it is still very, very short.
Wow. Okay, so first
Okay, Vi first pick, Ezreal, Aurora.
but in EU, a very different field.
Any of the bans, super weird ones. Poppy's a little bit odd in terms of like less common, but Mickey obviously has shown last year that it was very insanely good on it. Classic bans on red side. This is just perma ban. Needs to change. Next patch it does change, so you'll be able to get a ban back. It might still be insanely good, but it's just well, at least it won't be perma banned. Corky, flexible. Maokai again, same idea, flexible. I think Vi is very good for people like GX, although the other good thing about taking someone like Maokai on GX is that it allows you the flexibility of like dive in mid lane. Aurora, I think, is a sort of fake flex because you can play it top and it is good top, but it's terrible in the swap as a top laner. So I think you can only actually swap it if you then if you see that the enemy has a non-good swapping top laner. So we'll see from them to lock in. So, oh, I should do it before they swap. So it's Ambassador last, right? As soon as they hover it, I'll just pause. So after the first 3, you actually still have like quite a lot of flexibility with these because Kai'Sa can play dive, and I think you can still have some AP that can be annoying as a poke. Same with Corky, like he can actually do an annoying amount of poke, and Maokai always with these poke comps is really, really obnoxious because the saplings can slow you down so much. They can control areas really, really well. They can check areas well, and then the ultimate, again, it can be used a little bit as like kind of dive, but it also can be used to set up more poke landing. And so you have a lot of flexibility. And it seems like in their bans, especially with the Braum, they want to dive onto the enemy. So Vi Taken, which is only a dive champ, if we talked about it in an LEC game, if you end up in a massive range advantage when you've got Vi, it feels really bad, but you have to just still play poke anyway. And you just threaten ults on people who are going to dive onto you rather than anything else. Ezreal very safe and also good into Vi, so even though it's Corky, because it's Maokai, it means it can be Corky mid very easily. So taking the Ezreal so it's not like Ez on 3 with those combos. Aurora, really, really strong champ, like I said, does flex, but difficult to flex, I think, when you are not on red side, because you can just slam a tank here and lane swap onto it. So it will be dependent on the other stuff that you pick, of course. But it looks like they're going to, with these last two, change this into a dive, and then like Kaiser can follow up on the dive really easily. Maokai as a tank can be also good on the dive as well. So you have a lot of flexibility with these first three, where you want to go with the comp, and especially with Jace for the extra range, and seeing that Aurora is now mid lane for sure. I like this 4-5 from Fnatic, and I think it works with the kind of players that you're playing against and playing as. I think both these teams really love to have the tools to go. And so making sure you are in that situation where you're the one who has the agency to dive onto them, I think is really good.
Fnatic, as I said before, move closer to the 6 and 1 mark. Move closer, they'll just be there. And when they are, they'll have 2 series left remaining. And a lot of people who came in will start thinking they're right when people are saying Fnatic would be the best team of winter. And I know you were mentioning it. I know a lot of other people out there have been saying the same thing. With the roster change, everyone was like, this is going to be Fnatic's year.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have kind of seen Fnatic rise to the top. There's a lot of talk about what's happening in scrims. Yep. I think for me though, like,
so it is going to be the tank, Jace, most likely all the Bruiser one, with that rune choice. No, it's really good on the Ezreal as well, so a good thing to secure. Looks like it's going to be AP. Maokai too. Okay, so they are doing the... I like this as a little bit of an extra thing. It doesn't work, but I like this as a variation on the swap. I think it's quite an interesting idea. We just show someone top, but actually it's a fake, because that person can kind of do whatever they want. Like Ambassador just like runs around. Insta flash. And this is one of the things where when you have a more experienced roster, swaps are always going to be, I think, slightly better for you. So Lot doesn't like readjust quick enough, and just Razork insta flash. It'll be interesting to see what they do here, because this matchup is actually, I think these lanes are actually okay for Giant X. But I do think Noah will need some help versus Ambessa. So at the moment, Vi being bot side I think is good for Giant X, and it's like vertical jungle. You just swap both sides of what you're taking. Teleport comes back to mid. Oscar needs to not go too far with the Ezreal, so Ezreal can play really aggressively and let Ambessa engage, because he's got support. And this is what we've seen a lot of teams go for, is if you have a Jason in the team, just focus on. He's just not that useful if he doesn't get to go now. He still go for that tank build, but you still kind of want those weeds as a Jinx. Yeah. My ears are ringing, because you're like, yeah, getting a kill on upset is good early, especially since the analyst desk were hawking this guy out massively. Oh, what a surprise. We actually prepared about how good he was. Up only last week. I mean, upset's been insane. The desk kind of highlighted as Noah going to get taps. Yeah, so this, like, Ezreal is quite safe against a lot of top laners, but Oscar's, I mean, not Oscar, Ambessa is one of them that is a bit more difficult. But it's like a lot of time been spent now on that side of the map, and yeah. So because Lot saved the flash last time, it wasn't just instant. But they just play again for upset, and they let Oscar just play on the weak side. And Vi now spending a few times bot that has done nothing, and this swap is just targeting the Jace. So Jace picked early in a lot of drafts, partly because it can flex to mid lane, and partly because this tank Jace is still better in the lane swap, but not good enough. And especially when they do this like fake, we're not lane swapping and then we are, I think that's a really interesting thing. He's now only extending the lead that he has for himself in the XP levels between the top lane. You see Giant X again anti now, I mean, with that top lane lead, or rather AD carry lead, trying to invade and flip the map a little bit here, and that's what they've done, sitting Ezreal top, but now upset just mismatches the lane, walking towards bot where Mickey's already standing. Now with the recurve bow as well, this 2v1 will continue. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what, yeah, Razor's just going to go get some vision for one dragon, two camps. Top lane lead, or rather AD carry lead, trying to invade and flip the map a little bit here, and that's what they've done, sitting Ezreal top, but upset just mismatches the lane. And on this next sequence, Giant X swap, but Fnatic just swap already. They just like this kind of play, and again, I think it's good for playing against Giant X, much less experienced team. Probably still some kind of like language barriers that make it more difficult in these games where it's just all about like who's going where and when. Jun goes towards Lot. They take the grubs, but 4v2, I think they just get doped. And he can just save the W and drop the tower. Like, this is just a really well executed dive. So Ezreal comes through. Humanoid spamming everything to clear the wave. You can just spam his rockets. to just force the prio. And now, even though GX know this is coming, they just have to. I think you can't like dish this whole wave. You have to just say, right, we just hope we can outplay the dive, or they don't outplay us, and they do. So really nice tanking, I think. Well, I'm going to show it to you on first, because this is, I think, a very well executed dive. We'll have to bear in mind for future.
Talk about with the ulti is the poke's already come through. His flash is being reminded by Dagda here as a twisted advance is what I'm waiting for. Bramble Smash is looking to juggle aggro.
So
There's the engagement.
it's Razork who's just tanking, and then he absorbs the last shot, and it goes on Upset, who just insta-runs as well.
So that's an easy juggle. It's a double that goes to Mickey. But
So he just W's to drop the aggro.
Look, bot lane is about the two of you. You're in this together. If Upset gets 2 kills, Mickey gets 2 kills.
And again, Noah's just trapped top lane 1v1 because Jun comes down. And also Jace without the levels is less useful. Like Jace scales very well with levels. It's not like it's less useful.
And Jun tries to go for the nice timing on the knockup, but just barely messes it up, so you don't get the CC long enough to follow through.
Good buff for Oscar, and now looking for his path out, but he's in trouble. Good trample as well from Jun, and all they need is
Okay, they do finally manage to collapse on the other side of the map. We just lost track of, or Fnatic just lost track of Jun a bit, I think.
It's only going to get worse because you can see here, level 4 on lots, he's behind the support on experience. And Mickey having to take over that level 5, I think Lala's just like, can we please stop blaming me, please?
I mean, Mickey's going to be tanking so much earlier as well.
But again, they're just losing another wave or so bot. Like, it's already really hard.
Game 4, game 5, quarterfinals. Misfits versus SKT. And that's where my Leon battles began myself. And it's out of the way from Hunt Summer Enigma. We look at Mickey X, who, again, already mentioned quite tanky. He's going to help out with Dragon as Fnatic take this and balance out the first objectives of the game. Brub's already taken by GX earlier on, but now Dragon's going to drop closer, can't get in there, even with his ulti. Fnatic are now on the board too.
Yeah, I think the question is what do Fnatic now do? Because this wave is hidden bot side, so do they want to try and go for the 2v2 lane and just match us with feeling that Best is now in a position with the like 3 level leads, kind of 2 and a bit level lead that she has, and she just fully lost?
Wow, I guess so. Oh, we lost already. Oh, shit.
I mean, it's already like level 7 versus level 4.
Keep zoning him out. And yeah, this is a
Or level 5, I guess, but anytime that you're behind in one of these matchups where you need to keep someone away, it's just so hard to keep like control of the matchup and stuff like that. It's really, really hard already.
Very, very soon. Like, you have to be incredibly careful as lost. Public execution, CC, into a full combo, you are dead.
Guillotine in public, in front of everyone. Lot right now, just hoping he can gather the experience best he can. You know he's thinking
He's a
about
dead range, yeah. Lot needs to be very quick on the flash trigger here. You see Oscar trying to hide out of vision, not to let him know.
Kill. Where? When? How, Dagda? These are all the questions I have about this start coming up.
Well, there's volume behind Lost, so I don't think with closer there, you can actually hope this play is Oscar in. Lot, if he steps up, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, like, look at the resets now. So you've already got Fnatic.
So how do you try and like get control back of this game as GX? I think you really want to work out what you want to do with the matchups. It gets a bit better. I would just build tank if you're Jace. I think you're so far behind, you're not going to be. Maybe you're going to be a useful threat and poke anyway. And as you trade these grubs with the swap coming through, you just play super aggro on this side of the map. So I like this. So Oscar's going to die. Oh my goodness. Okay, I thought for a second. Oh my goodness. This is such a good escape, actually. So you have to watch out for this ult. And I think in these situations, you honestly, if it goes on you, you maybe even have to just flash it. Because it just puts you so far away. And it just slows everything down. And the turret ramps so much. I mean, it's okay. But it's the same in teamfights. Like, flashing the Ambassador ult is a massive deal. Because if you can't get into everyone with that big tool, then it's really, really hard for her to play. So, same idea. But now Fnatic are just ridiculously far ahead. We just died in 1v1? Surely not. Oh my goodness. Just ults back in. But you kind of have to go for stuff like that if you're Jackies, right? You're so far down on the map. If you get that kill, if you lose the 1v1, okay, we're kind of going to die anyway. And if you get the kill, you have a way back into the game.
I think they're okay with 3 people. I don't think Fnatic can do this. So yeah, I'm just gonna back away and use Upset to get back mid so they can defend mid lane tower. But yeah, you can see Fnatic, like, they are very quickly trying to capitalize on these winning side lanes and just overload. And it's very difficult for Giants to match because you just don't have control really.
So now we've got longer lanes on both sides. That allows Jace to actually be safe here. I hope he doesn't go for the Bruiser build. That's the thing I hope. I would say that either of the other builds are okay. Maybe you never get tanky on these kind of builds if you go tank. So you just have to go full damage and then at least your damage will matter.
I'm looking at what top laners lock and join in. Oscar has to start walking down now. As Fnatic is looking through priority in these waves, maybe an opportunity to get someone as Noah's right on a ward. Perfect execution. Yeah, easy as that, isn't it? Noah's dead. Upset gets the and this is how
so these dive and pick tools are really, like I said, very useful for all of these teams. But they're doing that while they're doing Dragon. and this is why it gets collapsed on, because they can't defend it too much. But it's still good, right? You went 1-for-1 while you're taking dragon. Mickey just throws some things for fun. Okay, now they start the dragon.
Jun actually, to give him credit, played that quite incredibly well. He used Ambessa as a taxi service to get access to upset, so flashed on, get the headbutt, the pulverize, so then he couldn't actually follow up on any of the damage that was coming out. So nicely done there, but it does mean then you're kind of flashless, and then I don't know what happened with Fanatical.
Giant X Chelsea is really weird.
I mean, Mickey did nail Jackies with the solar flare, but it was just kind of like the guys in the tower. There's no target.
Speaking of ending with potential bug about this one, by the way. Okay. Investigation is ongoing. So this
because right. Executions, I'm not too sure exactly how they interact.
I like the polos, I have to say.
It's like the biggest problem if someone says,
let's jump through this pause.
I want for a lot to try and get some mysteries.
Maybe it was the ulti as Scan on with upset as we come back. He's in trouble. He just flashed out of a big circular vehicle.
Okay. So upset flashes down. Dragon is gone and top tower is taken. So this is actually a good sequence for Giant X, but I'm not entirely sure how this all happened. So I think maybe it's just that too aggressive play towards mid. Okay, it's phase rush Maokai, but tank. Not something I've seen that much of. I think normally you go Aftershock if you want tank, but he gets more like, I guess he gets to engage and run away still. I don't know. Let me just set this up for myself. I can't work out exactly how they just take a tower for this dragon. I think you should instead, as Fnatic, just push that wave in rather than go for the fight on it. Huge Aurora burst is always fun as an AD carry to walk towards a bush, and the 1-1 Fiora 1-1 Aurora just takes 2/3 of your HP in an instant.
You can also then shift the Ezreal up into a position where he can match for the likes of these upcoming Rich Out in 30 seconds. So you're kind of putting the Fiora in a position where he has to burn the TP, whereas Giant X don't have to. So
Giant X managed to slow the bleeding, which is really big.
Actually, I like it over here with the closer.
There is good damage in return on Jackie's just by himself for now. As you say, closes in range of a full breaker into a cease and desist, but Jackie's the one I've been more worried about.
Oscar plays that weak side really well. Okay, so if if there was no support, he can go for him, but he just chunks him out and then instantly runs back to the wave because he knows what he needs to do, like on this side of the map. And Razork's taking the enemy red side. So now I think you should just take this tower. We'll see. They do look like they're going to go and try and contest. They're in a strong spot. You have Triforce, you have Kraken Slayer. Enemy has Triforce and Ludenzo as well. You have the Eclipse because we've still got this big advantage in top lane, even though it's not a big advantage in gold yet. I mean, now it is a big advantage in terms of items. And the other thing is that Oscar can join this. So he misses the ult, and I think from there, like Oscar, that is, misses the ult onto Jackie's to like catch him on the side. And as soon as that goes, I think you just run on the other side of the map. Oof, and they lose 2 tower spot. Oof, that's a tragedy. So the other thing that Fnatic are doing here is they're doing this like soft contest thing that people are starting to talk about more and more. And basically what you're doing is you're weirdly playing on this side of the map to generate time on this side of the map. And so they just slow them down and they just like throw things at them or threaten little things so they can't just be really organized. And if you're really organized, you probably get this and you reset and you get back to bot lane to defend this tower. But instead, especially as Corki already has the Triforce, you just throw stuff at them, you force Jackies to be scared of the Ambessa ult, you make them go the slow way back towards mid so that you can clear this wave and you're already running. Like people are already running while enemy has to clear this wave, which means they get to block them here. It's the shouldering thing that we talked about before. We talked about with the team. Don't know if you've seen that, but in chess, it's called shouldering, but we also call it gating. The concept is that because Fnatic go this way, it actually means that Giant X can't go that way. And so they have to go the hugely long way round. And so because of your own position, you force the opponent to go wide, and it's the time between you're getting there that's important. It's not how quickly you get there. And Fnatic, maybe they go quicker if they just run straight down this way and they just, I don't know, run like here. That gets you there quicker. But because you run this way, you then block the opponent, and so you get a bunch of extra tempo just from the way that you walk. And so you lose 2 towers for this Herald. Look at Randall trying to save his support. Flash for flash. And now they're just trying to get away, and so Oscars should just hard shove this top side.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Giant were just immediately going to move mid and try and break open that mid lane tower with the Rift Trail there as well. Try and punish the fact down that support and a ton of
But
engaged of Fnatic. But it looks like they have to get locked back to cover this top
still
instead.
not really worth for the Herald. So let's see what else you could have done instead on Giant point of view.
Seconds, so you're kind of putting Humanoid down in a position where he has to burn the TP, whereas Giant don't have to. So I know it seemed like it was just so you could get the rest.
So it's because you lose all control of this jungle
Now both side lanes are in Giant control and Fnatic. Actually,
as well, and it's because of the double play onto the bot side. So you play towards top here, and then you play again here. You push the next waves, and now you start Herald. But by this point, you're already, like, bot lane is not de-pushed at all, so you're already getting someone's hitting the towers. And so you don't get to mid for the next wave, which means you can't also get back towards bot lane. So the other thing to do would be to do a play while you're losing that tower and then retake your bot side so that they don't have the time to do this, and you have to just give up the Herald. So really, you're going to lose that first tower anyway, and you trade the Herald for the inner tower and a kill. But even this kill, while this is happening, Oscar's pushing in the top side. So he's able to clear this whole wave. And now it's 2.6k again.
Yeah, at this stage it's just Fnatic trying desperately to get away. Losing Mickey isn't the end of the world because you're getting still a Mbessa with more control over the top side. She's going to push in. You got the tier 2 tower, which is a ton of extra gold, and you're getting away with a lot of free. Well, you're getting away with mostly unscathed there, only losing Mickey. Now Fnatic once more trying to set up on this bottom side. It does feel like they're not comfortable leaving Humanoid alone.
So now, again, because you collapse that wave in top, you have a huge amount of time on Mbessa. So Jace needs to just clear the wave and then run, and Mbessa comes towards mid. It looks like he took a camp or something. And it's now a 40 CS lead as well on the top side.
I'm wondering here is Giant still group around. Jackie's away into the portal he goes, and how much information does Fnatic have? Razor's now picking, they want to full on fight. Mickey goes into the choke, they can put this all in the line. Upset needs to reposition Mickey.
Now they're looking for a fight. This is just a slightly strange fight, and then okay, look. So we talked already about the dive from Fnatic is really strong. So coming into this, no flash on closer, no flash on lot, no flash on Jun, which Jun flash is coming up soon. But that means that Fnatic can kind of go on anyone, especially with flash coming up from upset, even though it's down on Mickey. There's so many tools of people, targets, of people that they can jump on, because Jace is not strong now. It's like Bruiser Jace, level 9, he can get one shot. Vi can even die really quickly, double back cleaver from those two. Jackie's, of course, is vulnerable. And now, because Ambessa's coming, and Ambessa's on a really good flank, they just want any fight to happen. Because Ambessa is going to come this way. Razork plays with these two, Mickey just engages. He's going to die straight away, but he's made the fight happen. So now the next thing hits. And Jackie's comes forward. Jackie's gets a nice return kill, it's really big. So I don't know if they're thinking that Jace isn't here, because this is still like 5v5, and Ambessa's going to be a bit late. Because this is the only target that's like really not a good target to engage on. And also the Leona ult hits the Alistar as well, so Alistar absorbs loads of the engage. I mean, if that ult, for example, doesn't hit, then it's a 1 for 0, or 0 for 1, sorry. But then Jackie's gets a nice trade back 1v3 and takes a lot of time, and now Razork dies as well, so 2 for 2 when you're 2.5k down, that's really good.
Yeah, immediately Fnatic go in because Mickey thinks I can split up the fight enough that Razor can lock down Noah. I mean, Oscar incoming, we can also try and kill Noah in the midst of that, but it's immediate. We get to see it here.
But I think it's just all this engage going, like any other target, I think is... If you get an engage on any other target, it's much better. And they're not all together. And what happens to Razork? Does he get just knocked away? I also think he'd be better. He'd be much more tanky with Aftershock. Yeah, so Lot knocks him back away, which... Yeah. I think you just need to be all together and just go on the target that Mickey goes on and go on anyone other than Alistar. So now they're teleporting to mid to be on time with this next wave and crush it in, crush the Herald in, play for the Dragon up in 17 seconds. Oh no, Atakan's up in 17 seconds. Dragon's up already. We'll just see how they set up this next play. So he's teleporting first, so you're there first. Now you're trying to control this area. Now again, the engage goes on to Jun, but this time he doesn't have the ult, so I think it's going to be much better. They're just diving on anyone. Closer also gets caught maybe on the side of this ult, and this ult coming this way I think is going to mean that this fight should be better for Fnatic. So they peel back onto Closer, and Closer dies. But with Aftershock and W gone, Mickey also dies. But now they have a massive health advantage.
Ginex had that at one moment, but Fnatic, their poke is starting to reel it in.
Yeah, I mean, Mickey goes in on towards Jun and is basically just playing as a scapegoat.
I mean, I think if you go on Jun, like maybe they literally have a 1 second timer on the Alistar ult, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. So they do manage to win the fight and win it with a bunch of health, which by health I mean. So with Closer dead and Alistar low, they try and force this, but you get so shredded by Atakan, by the way. Like your MR will drop massively. So I want to see if they ever click someone here who has who's been tanking Atakan. So he almost kills. I mean, I think Jackie's just rushes this way too much.
Yeah, I mean, Mickey goes in on towards Jun and is basically just playing as a scapegoat because he can turn on towards Closer, prevent him from regaining value from the ultimates, and there's just no way Ginex can follow up on that engage. Now, Fnatic, Dragon, move over to Atakan. Ginex starting to move down. They don't have an Alistar, so it's going to be on.
I think Jackie's just goes way too deep here. Atakan's like 6k still.
Jackie's between worlds again onto Cuban.
Maybe he doesn't even mean to. I don't know if he means to do this. Maybe he does, but I think it's bad. I think you just cancel the ult and back off. You get humanoid to that HP. Shame that you didn't kill him. Recast the ult and flash back this way. Because now you die and Upset instantly jumps in to then kill with Oscar as well. Now you lose. Yeah, now you lose Dragon as well. So even with these engages just on Jun, I think a bit of a mistake from Jackie's there. I don't think you need to rush that, and I think the chunk is really good, but you just then back off. You just chunk him and back rather than chunk him and dive deep. Yeah, maybe he's not doing it on purpose. But even trading 1-for-1 I don't think is good. Like, you can just chunk and then leave. Razak just zones away with the ult, then they take another tower, and they've got Mickey and they've got false life, so everyone's thinking he's just going to dive us. It's like if Hilazag ever has false life as well. Like, so Jun is the only one close enough to be engaged on, which is why we keep engaging on to Jun, even though it's maybe not ideal. This ult is really bad. So they wanted the flash ult, flash stun into ult for Ambessa. This is gonna, yeah. That's a really nice ult from Jackie's. Like you get 3 people, you do a bunch of damage. They all get slowed, so you can then follow them up as well. So much better. So yes, it's false lives, but it's still good. They've got 3 dragons though, so soul in 2 minutes. Flashes. Jackie's flash is down. It will be up for, maybe it'll be up for the dragon, but it won't be up for the dragon setup, which is a really big one, and that's another reason why like him flashing before I think is a bit silly. Upset both sums. No with no flash. Oscar can TP this wave like from a minute. Now, so see, Oscar's already resetting because he wants to be on time for this soul fight, and now he's TPing, so he got an item, which is why he went there in the first place, I guess. But it's completely worth like to use the TP. But with the new TPs, you have to TP first. Like TPs on flanks can work-ish, but mostly it's just like a way to like cheat the tempo. So he resets here. Okay, I mean, he gets nothing, so yeah, he shouldn't have gone top, but fine. He gets a long sword. And he doesn't get a pink. So they want to push through mid and then try and find an engage. So the engage misses, but they're like trying to find it. And this is a really nice flank from Closer. I'm gonna try and do this thing before, like judging it before I see what happens. I still think they lose probably just because they're 6k down. But this is the only kind of fight that they're going to win. They have this really good turn moment, and Closer gets Q flash onto upset, so he's then going to be able to ult him, and Jackie's ult will come through, and hopefully Jun combo, and so they one shot. But there's 2 carries, and you're really far behind in items. But still, that's like the best fight. That's like the only kind of fight you win, but you lose soul. You one-shot the enemy AD carry, who was super fed. And this is the important thing. Like, if you saw Matt's little presentation he did for us on team fighting, the reason this works is because they're not right next to each other, and so you can't just one-shot both their carries. So Humanoid just needs to not be where upset is. So he just absolutely kills, like, he just shreds them all. Yeah, now that's... Okay, so Giant starting really well, but much worse other weeks. I mean, Fnatic look really good. Okay, same thing again. I'll jump to the next game once this one is done, and I'll take a little bit of a short break. Might not go through all the games today because I'm quite tired. I need to take a bit more of a break. We've got scrims tomorrow, and I've got a few other things to kind of sort out before then. So I'll do another review tomorrow morning. I'll just quickly look at my calendar. But for the rest of these games, we'll see the next 1 or 2 at least. I think it's going to be very difficult to even hold this Baron with the soul as well. Yeah, you just ult and then you just threaten the dive and no one can live, whoever you jump on, yeah.
He's getting pummeled down so hard. Yeah, I mean, we got clips here. We should just roll with the clips. What do you think this will be?
Okay. Rogue versus Giant X. I'll let you guys watch the draft, and I'll quickly be right back in 1 minute. Okay, I went too far. There we go.
Does it really matter how you play it until we get into Fearless? I think some analysts around the world would say perhaps we can draw something. Is the general consensus, whereas G2 on a bit of an uptick after beating Giant X at the end of last week.
We jumped into the draft with a Zyra ban. We've seen G2 in their previous iteration and in this iteration be quick adopters of the AP jungle meta, and I feel like in the current meta we're seeing a lot more of that in Europe, whether it be the Zyra or the Maokai being the prevalent too. We've also seen the brand even come out from Skewmont. I wonder what the priority will be today. Kasante and Skarner taken away from the side of G2. The Draven directed towards Hans Sama. This does mean that, of course, a number of power picks are up and available, in particular in the AD carry pool. Kalista, Varus, Corki, the flexibility the champion has, along with the Maokai and the Sejuani, who seem to be high priorities here in Europe.
Victor's still available as well if we want to, if Lars is going to go towards that. Haven't played it yet this split, but does seem to be a champion that would feel very much in his wheelhouse. Azir, the final ban from G2, met by Draven from Rogue, and now Rogue are thinking about that first pick. As you say, Varus often at the top of the leaderboards, but Maokai alongside him in terms of first pick priority.
Now, typically G2 would respond with a fast clearing jungler, but instead they're going for a little bit of dive. They've got themselves the Vi. I wonder if we'll see the Kasante paired alongside it. Ooh, Ezreal for Hans Sama. Now, we've seen him play the Ezreal before. I think towards the end of last year we started seeing him playing a little bit more, but for those long-time LEC viewers, you all know that Hans Sama, not traditionally an Ezreal player. We know him for his Misfortune, his Draven, his Kalista, his Varus, his typically lane-dominant AD carries, so getting to see him play a little bit more of this range is definitely a testament to the meta that we're seeing with poke and range being the dominant factor.
Yeah, say what you want, Benny, though. He did win a game on it against BLG at Worlds, so best Ezreal in the world, world caliber Ezreal. Although they went on to lose finals, so it's really, really good. You know, Jace and Yone finally hovers for Rogue. They've locked in the Jace. If you had a Yone in there as well, it's a bit AD heavy top side, yeah. It would surprise me a little bit. Corki, though.
That's a little bit more.
It would be the first time Larsen's brought it out. Of course, we played St. Patrick in the bot lane. He's played it once already.
But I mean, unfortunately for Larsen, there is the Corki Larsen incident that happened many years ago. Fortunately, we're well past that. We'll see how his Corki performs today.
I doubt most of our fans actually recall that incident as well as a few years ago now.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the package was involved. Which is, now, Leona can be locked in on side G2, so a pretty strong bot side map. Ezreal Leona is a common bot lane combo that we've been seeing throughout the world in the current meta, which means that you expect AD carries to be the follow battle, maybe supports instead. The Rel, the Alistar, the Braum, all very viable to mitigate the, well, I say the disengaged potential that Rogue could be looking for against the type of combo.
Yeah, I think if you ban out AD carries, the risk is the Corki just goes into that AD carry slot, right? So banning out the supports makes a little bit more sense. Rel already removed by G2. Rogue, maybe we'll look up towards the top side, try and get things that work well into the J2. Although we have some the expectation is that Adam will be taking that up into the top side. Drag is the ban. Hopping as well, and already would counter the Vise engage and
Okay. Right.
themselves, but I guess they're deciding, you know what, given the amount of range,
Rogue 1 and 5. Doesn't matter. All these new players. A lot of the same problems. Got some food, so apologies for that. I will eat and explain as I go. Okay, first pick, because it's LEC. Skarner, Kastante, Bam. Azir, again, another one that's like just super standard, quite flexible as a pick. Oh, okay. Quite flexible as a pick. Like it can do a lot of things. It can side lane well. It can team fight well. It scales well. All those kind of things. That's why we love it in the LEC and in competitive games. Hey Dodo, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm a bit tired, which is why I'm a bit okay. I was wondering what's happening. I don't know if you could hear, but my phone was talking to me. Phone just wants to be on the stream as well. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm just a bit little bit tired, but other than that, I'm good. So these, same as before, like if you're not going to play the Zyra, it's always an interesting ban. Threatens a few different things. They can it just clears really fast as well. So been used a lot as a counter to stuff like Vi, but as well things like Maokai, Tejuani. AP junglers can then clear really fast. Ankush, I've been grinding a lot recently and had a decent team lined up for Polish Div 4. My jungle rage quit right before our first game, and I didn't think it would affect me as much since we found a replacement. Get really tilted. I think it's hard, like not knowing stuff about you, to like how tilted you get in League. I think working out like how you respond when you get tilted, I think is useful. So some people, you know, it's that fight, flight, or freeze kind of response when you go into those situations, but I'm absolutely not an expert. So working out what that is, being open about it with your team, and trying to get your team's help in those kind of situations, I think can be useful. Obviously a bit more important in a specific game rather than as a just whole thing, because we're swapping jungler or anything like that. But if you're the kind of player that tends to, I don't know, let's say you tend to our version of flight is normally like you just want the game to be over, right? You just like, I would rather just lose just so it's done. Like everything's going wrong. Like I just get me out, especially if it's on stream. That's the kind of situation where what you really want is you want your teammates to be asking you things and bringing you back into the game in that kind of way. So what's the next plan? Like, what's the next job? Like, how are we turning this game around? Like, how should we play about this game? Like, what's the next thing that I can do? And that can be anything. That can be like really silly, you know? So I don't know what position you play, but it could be like, if you're the support, it's like, I'm just going to find and engage on enemy AD. Like, we're 10k down, but like, we're going to fucking kill this one guy. Like, that's the one thing that we can do as a team. Like, we can start to like find one way to do, like, achieve one thing and start to get yourself back in the game. In that way, and like back mentally in the game, not back in the game. It's not going to turn the game around, but it can get you that first thing. Top laner, I get really frustrated when I make mistakes in lane, for example. I just want to get out of the game. Yeah, I mean, I think if you can find a way to like bring it back to that next job, that's always going to be useful. So just what is your role within that next sequence? Or if a classically tilting thing for top lane, of course, is enemy spending a lot of time in top and you go slightly behind or a bit even and you think it's like actually super smurfing, but on the other side we're not getting anything. That's always like a tilting thing. But just literally, okay, like what's my next job in the next sequence? Like what do I need to do next? Like if I'm the engaged, like how do I get a good engage? Or if I need to get a flank, like how do I get a really good flank into that next play, and it's just finding that next thing to get yourself into the game. And there's little things that you can experiment with, like experiment with different breathing patterns. You can just Google these. I think is probably the best rather than me explaining like any specific ones. But breathing patterns to calm yourself back down again if you get overexcited, or the opposite if you start to get like just too like, oh, just fuck it. Maybe there's other things you can do. Or even like physical stimuli, so like clap your hands a bit, or like stretch, or literally just stand up and like stretch if you want, like while you're dead. We have these pauses in the game, and doing something to like bring your mind back to like physical stimulus is also something that can be done really well. Okay, we'll get into the game. So possible poke, as always with these three, Maokai, Jace, something like Corki. You would need to take more if you wanted to go that way. A lot of dive with the Vi, Ezreal good into Vi as well, so a good takeaway. And both, well, Vi is a very dive, but if you need to, you can like off comp the Vi, I guess. And Ezreal is a kind of just fits all, can play all different things. Then when you've got this, securing something like the Leona is really good. Leona and double ban for support. So double ban, but they didn't ban the Braum. So it seems like Poppy and Rel are the bigger choices for counter matchups. Leona is just really, really strong. Also, like I said, makes sure it has enough engage. Follows up with the Vi well. Vi Ari, really good, powerful combo in the 2v2. So Caps absolutely can like just take over the game with this strong 2v2, even though it's blind at this stage. Technically, it could be Jace mid. Technically, it could be Corki mid. Then they take the disengage because you've got loads of dive. So this is why I think, Poppy is a better disengage against all your champs, especially if you want the Ahri. But personally, I would go Poppy Braum as bans. Rel is a strong pick, so you can understand from that point of view. Then the Galio as well, super good into engage comps. I think Thomas now has a post-it note placed by the side of his screen saying, if we're doing dive, always think about Galio or something like that. Because as soon as you have a bunch of dive, the Galio is really strong into that. And then it's Cho'Gath. I hope it could be Galio top, You could still put Galio top into the Cho'Gath. So we'll see what they go. So not more dive, but can still follow up on that engage. Probably very good in the lane swap, actually, I would think. Cho'Gath. Kind of difficult to dive, can farm from range. Not bad.
Rogue have a lot of disengage tools, but I feel like that if Rogue wanted to engage, I don't know if there's really a lot that the Galio can follow up on. So I'm curious to see how Rogue looks at leverage this Galio and how it works in the team composition.
So
they've
got a lot of disengage, but I would not mind Galio top and Jace mid with damage build. I don't think it's going to be that. Yeah.
I don't think we're excited enough about this Cho'Gath pick, buddy. I know he's just a tank. Maybe that's I've been watching too much Mouse. Exactly, right? I've been looking through my stats, so I am getting them confirmed. So these are just blue stats that I've looked up. I can't see him having been played anywhere in a major region so far this year.
That's story in recent history.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out, and it may be that my stats are just wrong. But you could have just been watching lots of Retoners, and you've seen a bit of Cho'Gath there. We'll get the stats checked as soon as we
so,
can. Even the top lane on the show does have really good to say with that. Can't always win on lane swap as well. We kind of talked about it a little bit. It looks like Rogue
lane swap, as always, first question.
The top side of mid. Adam did work his way into
I think you can swap as G2. Jace definitely deals with it worse than Cho'Gath, even though he can deal with it okay. I don't know what this matchup is. Could be really good for Cho. That would explain why they go for something like it. As always, Braum, you almost definitely want to engage. Invade. So level 1 with Braum is really, really strong, but they completely split up. So it doesn't matter who you are if you're 1v5. You have to walk out together if you've got C walking in. And it's going to be a normal lanes.
So 2 more, and G2 will be that one step closer to securing those extra boosts.
Yeah, alongside obviously one of the first tower and the 3 epic monsters with a singular grub counting as 1, 2, that's 3. I have had it confirmed it's the first show we've seen this year. I also believe we didn't see it in competitive last year.
So this lane should be good, I think. Corki Braum. But Ezreal's going to get prio first because he can just spam Hughes on the wave. And yeah, Caps is going to be strong. Maybe Jace is too vulnerable in mid lane, and also you've got to think about the people you've got. I don't think.
Now, I am anticipating that he is heading towards more of a tank animation rather than the one-shot AP builds that some have been enthusiastic. I mean, I used to be a big show mid enthusiast going full AP. Used to be a fun matchup in the Katarina. Just some weird trivia for you there.
And it's going to be tank Jace, so probably does better into tanks than other.
Notice he holds the Q. Notice the damage reduction. The second half would have done the 3 damage, but the initial have been enthusiastic. I mean, I used to be a big show mid enthusiast.
I think if he just... Wait, is Q down maybe? I think Caps' Q must be down. Because otherwise I think Larson dies here. Okay.
Notice he holds the Q, noticing the damage reduction. The second half would have done the 3 damage, but the initial part wouldn't have. And so that good patience there from Caps forces the flash out from Larson. Because Larson was aware of the exact same thing. I'm going to lose this DR if I I mean, there's a risk of me getting killed.
Just calling it DR shows how much of a loss I'll give you.
I mean, it's just an MMO game in general.
It's going to be
Damage reduction.
a situation. So, Rogue Hands back in the top lane. Last time we saw the choke out in the LEC as well was Rogue to play back in 2023. Scuman is looking down towards the bottom lane. Pepsi used the Valkyrie away. Young Vapor from execute. Good flash from Scuman. Pepsi gonna have flash away. Execute dashes back with Sam.
Okay, so the flash from Scoomon forces the flash on this side. And it's still hard to play this, I think, as G2 in general. Like, Patrick's got no mana, but like playing these like fire things into Braum is always difficult, and so the play on the other side I think is likely to be more successful. So flash down on Cho, but still gonna die.
Bro getting themselves on the kill leaderboard as they find a nice gank towards the top side of the map. Bro got the Unix, expended his flash to try and get out of that situation. Fortunately,
Braum gets the freeze.
quite the deficit now towards the top side of the map. As, Adam,
Holds the wave, super good. So Patrick can pick them all up.
And the flash now burnt for Patrick means that G2 likely setting aside to the bot side of the map. It does make sense. Typically, you wouldn't look to try and play for the Cho'Gath lane, but for Rogue, getting this Jace ahead really sets themselves up for success come the mid game. He has some really nice item spikes, especially once he has that tier fully stacked. And with the grubs spawning in about a minute's time, G2 will move their bot lane up towards the top side of the map. Now, there is an option here for Rogue to be able to match this. If they can have Patrick push out this next wave, he still has enough time to go back to base and start pathing towards top. You'll notice Execute already on his way, suggesting that G2 wants to make sure at the very least that Adam is not left isolated. Turning my attention to the jungle as well, while we're kind of discussing and contemplating.
So Braum comes top to cover Jace on the swap, I guess.
Enough time to go back to base and start pathing towards top. You'll notice Execute already on his item spikes, especially once he has that tier fully stacked. And with the lane matchup.
Okay.
And the flash now burnt for Patrick means that G2 likely setting aside to the bot side of the map. It does make sense.
So because they got that crash, they then get the first choice on the swap, and they decide to go for it.
And with the grubs spawning in about a minute's time, G2 will move their bot lane up towards the top side of the map. Now, there is an option here for Rogue to be able to match this. If they can have Patrick push out this next wave, he still has enough time to go back to base and start pathing up towards top. You'll notice Execute already on his way, suggesting that G2 wants to make sure at the very least that Adam is not left isolated. Turning my attention to the jungle as well, while we're kind of discussing and contemplating the possibility of a grub, Scoomon is actually starting off the dragon.
And that cost them the dragon, which is going to happen before the grubs come up. And so I think this, yeah, it's just going to be a free dragon, like actually free. So we have just pushing both sides, and we get it before, and now they're going to be able to still get to play on this top side. But the play is hard on the top side because it's the Braum as well. So Scoomon goes too far. This I think is a bit silly. Like, it's Braum, it's always hard to like play into him like this. And so now the play is already hard because it's just the like that's just the champs, you know. Now they do play on the other side of the map and deny the wave from Patrick, but he should be up in levels. Oh, he's not really, half a level up. Patrick, given that he spent so much time alone on the bot side of the map, very close to level 6, so he does have about half a level advantage over Hans. He's going to make his way up towards the top side of the map, no neutral objectives for the time being, so he's going to return to standard lanes and investing his TP to go up. I'm not entirely sure why Larson just got pushed away from mid here. He's just losing the lane 1v1, I guess. So at this stage, they're both full health, full mana. I'm just looking at mid lane. Presses away the mid. Because he should be able to cover this. Like, if he covers Patrick on this wave, then Patrick like becomes like a full level up. And that's really big. Humon's coming towards the top side. Now at this stage, it's still like full health, full mana pretty much. In mid lane. Okay. He just walked up roughly towards top side. So because he walks, like, I think you need to know as Rogue like that you win this. So you can be on the wave again in mid lane. Because if you, like, this move up from Larson costs them the wave bot lane. Because you go up towards this, you then lose control of this mid wave. So Caps gets the first move. And because Caps gets the first move, you then can threaten on this wave in bot. Whereas you've got an ult from Larson, it should be so hard to dive Patrick on the side with Cleanse and with Galio coming in.
rotating themselves up nicely to start off the growth.
And then you'd also be a level up.
They can look for a cross map. Camps immediately rolling towards bot, threatening a potential dive with Patrick. He's forced to concede the wave.
So like Larson doesn't need to come up there. I think that fight is fine without him.
Patrick only a little bit behind Hans Summer, who has now returned to basically himself up a fade. Both the AD carries on basically exactly the same items, just with different stacks on their tits.
Now, there was the possibility that G2 could swap the lanes once more, but instead they're going to keep sending Handsome up towards the top lane. Patrick, given that he spent so much time alone on the bot side of the map, very close to level 6, so he does have about a half a level advantage over Handsome.
Teleport comes to bot lane, so they swap.
Control objectives for the time being, so it's kind of a return to standard lanes. Adam investing his TP to go up against Broken Blade can go back to bullying him similarly to what we saw in the first few levels.
Broken Blade though trying to sustain up. You can see these stacks that Broken Blade picked up on the top right of his portrait. So you see Patrick trying to stack up that gatling gun on Hans Summer, who is just able to shift away. Importantly with Cho'Gath stacks, you get a stack if you execute something with these, whether it's a minion, epic monster, etc. But you can only get up to 6 from non-epic monsters and from minions.
Now they crash this in.
Secures, Baron secures.
They're going to go back to top this lane normally.
It's very common for Cho'Gaths to just use it on the cannon, you know, during the lane phase. Because typically, unless you're solo queue, of course, in pro play at the very least, their priority is getting that extra bit of health, but that extra added swipe value in the mid to late game is insane power. It makes those steals so much harder to do. Alternatively, the potential steal from a flash over the Cho'Gath is very real for Rogue. So now have to be cautious of that, as this matchup will get a little bit easier as time goes by. The extra durability of the Cho'Gath going to prove dividends. The slows on the E are an effective trading tool.
This is going to be heart steal first time, probably.
Really good job sidestepping the rupture there as well. If the rupture comes down there, Broken Blade can, you know,
I mean, I like different things being shown and like tanks and stuff like that.
Hans Summer, the Rob looks when
Like,
Broken Blade back up his AD carry for now. A minute 30
yeah, we don't see Cho very much, so
Larson does have flashback up. And Justice Punch. Skip down his way away from the fight, but Adam's in melee range.
okay, finish my feed.
Hans Summer, the Rob looks like went for a recall.
So we're all good.
Carry for now. A minute 30 on the next
He's not
strike.
making mid.
He is ready. Larson does have flashback up. And Justice Punch will get Larson to safe.
I mean, this is one of the things I wanted to see a little bit more. I thought, alright.
Now they get to make another collapse. Yeah, so it's going to be this time a much stronger Bruiser Jace than last time.
Strong for the Maokai. It's very easy to lock this Cho'Gath down. Even if he did flash away, he knew that he was going to get away with his life. So,
And it is going to be the Leandries for
G2 in terms of any significant advantages.
Malrang.
That's already been unlocked on the map, or Caps done a very good job in the isolated 1v1, building about a 300
So they can play like poke with the saplings and stuff when you're controlling an area, not like direct poke. Corki and Jace, and then when enemy engages, they have really good counter engage. So I think Rogue are actually in a decent spot here.
Larson has the ulti and TP. He's just showcasing that respect to Caps, knowing it's a little bit difficult to walk up towards the Ahri. Nice side step though from the Q.
They're being clipped by the edge of it. He has that magic and shield. Right? That's the only W. Broken chasing Patrick. Patrick has cleanse and flash. Steps into the rupture, doesn't burn the flash. Feast does a lot of damage right now. More spikes, well, Feast is on cooldown. Okay, he's probably not going to get him.
I mean, if Feast was on cooldown, off cooldown, he just feasts a minion, by the way. If he doesn't feast this minion, he... Okay, Patrick maybe doesn't walk up because he sees him feast the minion. But losing that flash is really bad in just 1v1.
They are able to steal one grab away. Just showcasing that respect to Caps, knowing it's a little bit difficult to walk up towards the Ahri. Nice side step though from the Q.
They're being clipped by the edge of it. He has that magic and shield. Right? That's the only W. Broken chasing Patrick. Patrick has cleanse and flash. Steps into the rupture, doesn't burn the flash. Feast does a lot of damage right now. More spikes, well, Feast is on cooldown. Okay, he's probably not going to kill him, but he does get the flash out. Thank you for pointing that out.
I mean, yeah,
It's really bad.
the exact same thing. That's a kill.
Yeah, Feast does like 300 damage plus percentage HP right now.
They are able to steal one grab away. Okay, I was going to say I was surprised that they were backing off of that, but Adam had priority over them in the wave, and him joining this fight. We've already seen what happened on the top side of the map, so they didn't want to get into that skirmish. Once more, 5 grabs.
Adam gets pushed mid so they don't lose the grubs.
Maring's not too concerned about that. The siege power rogue's now a little bit stronger. I will say, nice early game.
But it's still 5 grubs.
Focus on playing around
They're in a good
attacking
spot.
this Cho'Gath as much as they can. As the bot lane 2 versus 2. They just played a strong stand lane. Oh, interrupt comes out from Caps.
Goes back to Caps here. We look at the challenge where Larson flashes, but still clipped by it. Scumon's on his way across.
I mean, he's just super scared. Like,
Nice early game plan so far from Rogue, putting a lot of focus on playing around Adam, attacking this Cho'Gath as much as they can. As the bot lane 2 versus 2. They just played a strong stand lane. Oh, interrupt comes out from Caps.
Goes back to Caps here. We look at the challenge where Larson flashes, but still clipped by it. Scumon's on his way across. In the end, Larson is able to get to his tower. Scumon's looking for this Drake now, trying to get that mid priority. Hans Summer being there first, but
I mean, Vi was coming. But still very strange. Like, you step up for that wave, and you instantly flash away before... Like, you step up for the wave, and already you know you're going to flash away if they go for you. Like, then don't step up. And this is the same thing. Like, teams are getting much better at this in LEC. It's always the thing in, like, LPL and stuff. You're no flash AD carry stepping on the mid wave, you just insta go for him. So, LeBron flash doesn't quite kill him. And Rogue punish the like over aggression, but the whole point is the game shifts a lot when key people don't have flashes, and that's good to see from the LEC. Like, we're actually starting to play on other things, like not letting people just do this.
Was unable to, though. Rogue get their fourth on the board. Adam is 2-0-2 now.
I feel like this last week, Adam just spoke to Maring and said, all right, you and me. It's just going to be the other shows. And they are just dominating so far in this early game, punishing the practice players from G2 and shutting down the Cho'Gath on the top side of the map. Now, Gal, you're playing into the Cho. This is a
Cho'Gath, I mean, G2 just don't look anywhere near as good as they used to look, right?
Should be a little bit tougher for Caps to play up against, but no TP available for Adam means that G2 now have a little opportunity. Double TP advantage.
Despite the fact they've got nearly 30 CS lead in counter matchup in mid lane. Like a counter pick.
On average, Rogue at 15 minutes are 700 gold behind. For them to be 1,000 ahead at 40 minutes.
Hey, thanks.
Because this weekend for Rogue is so vital. They need to be picking up wins. They're currently at 1-5 as last is called out with the rupture. Doesn't have the flash. Very tanky.
He's just going to die, isn't he? Yeah, so he used his flash really weirdly before. Now he's just getting punished on the side. Don't think he's got a reason to step up there, but you feel like you're safe. You're really tanky and you're by tower. It's phase rush as well, so no aftershock.
You can see though Adam now starting pulling out Caps, and he's primed for a dive.
Just me out once again. Caps still have the flash. TP comes in. Caps rushes past the next then back in. Marin flashes with the twisted advance. Caps is shut down.
Okay, so both flash.
The chase continues. BB no ult. He's not going to be able to feast on anyone. Importantly though, for Rogue, they stopped the first tower going down top by making this play. The TP came in from Broken Blade. Larson can now TP top lane to try and push towards that tower. If they manage to get it, they will have.
Yeah, and they're going to lose. They're going to get first tower. So nice. I mean, it's just playing on the Adam lane. I think it's really good. And G2 are just quite disorganized and no, that's harsh. I'm just so used to them winning, right? First tower, grubbies. Always going to be good on the... If you're hitting tower for the same amount of time as them and you've got 5 grubs, yeah, this is always a good situation.
But I've been pleasantly surprised with how Rogue have been playing so far in this early game. I was going to be raising questions around with this roster change. What we're looking at is synergy, how the team is working together, and making practice plays with one another. And so far, every play that G2 has tried to make hasn't really resulted in a huge amount. Rogue has been very respectful of G2 where they are on the map. We didn't see Patrick getting dove when he was on the weak side of the map. We haven't seen really Adam fall short in any of the plays. Meanwhile, Adam and Malrang have just been dominating this early game, extending Rogue's lead. And if G2 do lose this game, this will be the first time in the history of this format they'll be sitting at 4 losses. Because traditionally, in this best of 1 nature, they've always found a way to get into that top 4 echelon and be a competitor for one of these.
They're going to play for Herald. But you're not doing anything while enemy plays for Herald. Like, I don't think Larson can really protect this tower. I think you should just play super hard on this other side. Like, are we really going to protect this tower? Can we defend this? Instead, you can go this way. You can still protect it as one and have everyone else go the other side, but they need to be here on this wave already diving Broken Blade rather than coming now. So Brov is just super far forward and loses flash, and also Hansama loses cleanse. So like I said, you didn't actually save the tower, so you just walked around, did nothing for a while, and now that wave crashes in and they put Herald. And this sequence, Rogue massively swing the game. Or G2, I should say, massively swing the game, like towards G2. It's like, look at what Rogue and Malrang get done. Larson and Malrang get done. So far they're doing nothing. Okay, he does clear the wave. Now Malrang just walks over this way. Then he walks back. Then we try and get a pick onto Labrov. Doesn't quite work, but they get flash and cleanse. And now Larson this part is really bad. Like, getting pushed away from getting pushed away like from this way. Like, that's a big deal. Like, he needs to just get to the lane, and then I don't think they can dive him 1v2. But here instead, like, he can't get to the tower again. And now they get this. And they're gonna so they get 2 towers and another charge as well. Rogue get the dragon, but now it's hard.
The dragon did go over to Rogue, but G2 leveraging that window to great effect as they swung the
basically got 2,500 gold out of that swing because Rogue were about 800 ahead or so before all that sequence of events began to happen. And they opened up the map a bunch more, so you can see the deep vision on the blue side for G2.
So really bad sequence for Rogue there. And Broken Blade now is starting to get really obnoxious to deal with in the side lane, and this version of Jace, without the Black Cleaver especially, is going to be probably not dealing with him well, and this is where I think that's what the counter pick is. Like I say, I wouldn't mind having had the Jace in mid lane. But I think maybe you're just too vulnerable against the RE Vi. G2 set themselves up nicely on the top side, which is exactly where Atakan is. Rogue have to fight their way back through the top side of the map. They get control of the mid wave, thanks to the control that this Corki has with Patrick. They're clearing out this vision and moving into the top river. And Broken Blade's just going to sit in the side lane. G2 always is still, like, they've still got the same solo laners right there. It's still just going to be able to create pressure on the side lane. Cleanse is coming back up as well.
Fox, that's the one that never has changed his name across the entire history of League of Legends.
But that vision was split.
Most of it played out now by Rogue. They are doing their due diligence. That push through mid, gave them extra time around here, but they're having to invest some of their own vision in their own side of the jungle, which does mean if they start up Artican, they don't have vision in G2's red side where you can't.
I don't think anyone can start up Atakan like without getting kills, because the shred is just going to be so obnoxious for both teams to deal with.
And you use your minions as kind of an extra ward against the enemy team.
It can also make sense based
You
on
just
what
get poked at if you're G2 and you're starting it, so they don't need to be like Rogue don't need to be worried about this.
Overload the top side to really get that push forward, and you use your minions as kind of an extra ward against the enemy team.
It can also make sense based on what G2 is playing into in this position. Given the core gear, so much way play. Ansama doing his best, but he just can't quite match that. You're seeing on your screen
We're going to get the push up in mid.
Poke is becoming very problematic for Rogue. Nice side step there from Patrick, but the river control is still in their favor. Dragged in about a minute's time, and it seems that for now, G2 shifted their focus away as Rogue continue to clear out this vision on the top side of the map. Larson, from a precarious position as Broken Blade hovers in the fog of war. Pings have come down furiously onto the bot side of the map, informing Larson that he needs to be cautious.
I think Malwang really wants his own net buff as well.
So they retake the bot side
Sneak it out, but it looks like Rogue might be collapsing towards the top side here. Larson waiting on that Mega Blast going. They're trying to get onto Stumon. They catch him out.
together, which is going to get them the Vi pick. So the opposite of what we talked about last time, right? Where they didn't send Isma bot SK. Now they all go bot to defend this next bit of the play, which actually catches Skumond. And then I assume Broken Blade dies as well. Yeah.
And that should be a very dead Cho'Gath. In the end, Broken Blade will fall to Larson. The mid lane tier 1, tier 2 will fall though, as G2 have a little bit of time with it, and Patrick can't keep him away.
Debatable who's the real winner there, but the positive
At that time, they lose the tier 2 in mid.
Careful, they are definitely in our bot side of the jungle. Let's regroup on the bot side as 4, move into the jungle, and force them out. We can catch them. That gives us a kill. And Skumon should overstay a little bit too long, and he ends up losing his flash.
Downside is that it's not a particularly impactful soul, so that pick gets you control of the bot side of the map, which then can lead to soul, but you can't to dragon, sorry, which you can't rush it or anything because you have to be a bit nervous about Atakan because Cho'Gath does have TP, and even if you do get it, it's not like Infernal or Hextech.
Doesn't have the flash, Broken Blade looking for the rupture here. Patrick has a flash, but doesn't have flash away. Puts it onto Malwang. The jump onto execute. He's now in the middle of G2. Level 4's low. Really big two players are caps for G2. 2,500 gold ahead of Larson. TP behind. We talked about these flanking.
So they just want a fight to happen, and they'll just force anything for it. Why did teams opt to overload a side instead of mid before objective spawn? I think if you could do anything, you would overload mid. But in this case, for example, they had to retake bottom side because they'd lost like full control over it. So they could go through mid, but Larson's already in bot, so they go through bot instead. And whoever's going to win the front to back fight is much more likely to win overloading in mid. So it can be that your comp can't do it. It can be that the map is literally not in the state where you can do it. They get flashed from AD as well here. I think the ult just needs to have come out way earlier because that execute is just so annoying for these tanks. Because this is the danger that you get if you all group up on mid. Like they TP behind you and force a fight to happen. But basically, like if you're, unless you're sweeping all of these. But I don't think this is that bad. Like if Larson ults execute now, is it the worst? Can they actually kill him? I don't think they can.
The problem is, there's a beast and a smite on one side and only a smite on the other. Now, of course, Malwang is good at securing objectives, but very hard to do. Basically, which ends up being executed, was ironically executed. And the risk now for G2 is that the outcome has been begun by Rogue. They don't have TC on Broken Blade, he's on his way. And the problem is, there's a beast and a smite on one side and only a smite on the other. Now,
okay. So what are we doing? We trying to fight it or are we trying to burn it? That's always the question. Like, do we want to try and rush it or do we just want to poke? And because enemies got Feast as well, like Feast is hard. It's not the same as like Spears if you're already on the objective. But especially walking in, Feast is hard, but still it's difficult. So the thing that you can get here is like the option to engage. But especially considering you just really didn't want to fight in mid and you don't have AD carry flash now. So Vi still has ult. You don't have AD carry flash. You have cleanse, but you can maybe still die. You don't have flash on Jace either. You don't have flash on execute. I think this is not necessarily a good fight because these people all get their things shredded. Yet to see a team start Attica and survive the contest. Yeah, you get this is what I was just saying, you get your MR and armor shredded so much. Oh, sorry. That now any fight, like any even fight, it's not even because you have way less armor and magic resist. So the ult comes through from Maokai, and like if they need to go for this, then if it's a full team call, then I think like Larson has to be like flashing over and all this kind of thing, but I just think it's a bad call. I think you're just all chunked, and they have this vision, so they know that Larson is there. Like, if you're going to go, I think you should go. But they just both die. This is just like a, I don't know, like a limp way of losing the game. You didn't need to start this. You were not in a particularly bad situation. You still have the grubs. But if you were like really far ahead, or if you had like, okay, if we get a flank, we just one-shot the entire enemy team, then I would say, okay, fine, start this. But you just got to play for it more. But I just don't understand where this is coming from. I have no idea who's like making calls on Rogue or like where this comes from, but like this is just a... I think it's just like really silly. Maybe they think they can just take it? I don't know, but do they think they're really far behind? They are now, but they weren't.
Rogue's coordination is just off, and it made it so easy for G2 to collapse onto the bot lane of Rogue and turn the fight in their favor. Now with this Alakan buff, they set their sights on the Baron, and it's going to be a tough battle for Rogue. It's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel there. Rogue could play front like the immediate turn.
And
Been able to see that in these fights.
like either we're contesting this or we're not. But this is worse than doing nothing. Like we just all leave, like we all leave Larson when he's there now. Because actually, like this situation, as we've spoken about many times, if you kill someone here, it's almost as good as killing them properly, even though they've got the false life, because they can't get back in time for the rest of the fight around Baron. But instead, they just let Larson die.
Should count their lucky stars that no one fell down there to the poke from Adam, and we'll start to back away. First recall's coming out. Nature's Blast used by Marang as well. The land the root onto, the Rob is low, rooted up as well.
And now they stalled them a bit. Hooray.
Let's go.
So a small advantage gain for Rogue, but it's insurmountable in the 5k gold lead that G2 finds themselves with. Again, look at the coordination.
And now that's just like, this is the game losing play for sure. Like, you're not... I think before they should have ulted Braum way earlier, and then I think they actually can fight, but both of these situations feel like they think they're ridiculously far behind, and they just weren't. It'd be really interesting to hear their comms, because you can sometimes get in your head that you're really behind and you're not in a good state, and you actually are, or the opposite. You think your like game is even and you're actually ahead. So we, for example, we lost a best of 5 because we were in a game and we were like 9k up, and we thought we were like a little bit in the lead. And so we all got aced, or like a really bad fight happened, and then we were like really desperate. And we're suddenly like, okay, we have to start Baron. And actually we were like 5k up still. So you can get in your heads, and when we're so used to watching the game like this, you think that everyone knows that they're kind of even, or everyone knows that there's a certain amount of gold. But from the way that Rogue are playing, it feels like they think they're really far behind. They're not ulting until the last second for execute, because they don't want to just say, okay, fine, fuck it, we'll fight. Like if you're going to engage on Braum, this is where we can actually fight. And you would get like a 4-man ult from Larson. And then here it's like we have to rush out to camp because we're really far behind, maybe? I don't know. It's just really strange. And if they lose this, I'm assuming Rogue and SK are the ones who are out, right?
G2 might have to think about backing away because their false lights have fallen off. Another charm goes in. Larson pops the taunt to get that DR that he was talking about earlier. TP into the base here by Broken Blade. Cats down to a 3rd HP. Larson has to just punch away. Where's the peel is the question. Broken Blade going forward to the Monterey onto that Cho'Gath. Rupture goes wide. There's only a cannon minion here, so Unsummer can't get in range of the tower to really do too much damage. Another TP coming in. This will rejoin the party on a full light. The inhibitor in the mid lane, the first target for G2. They're chipping away at it, but unable to quite get it down as of yet.
So the false life thing's gone, but they still got Baron, and this is just like how the game is over.
Looking for the engage. Patrick has to cleanse, and Valkyrie away. The inhibitors will fall. 2 of them go down. G2 only 8 kills to 7 up.
I have no idea where that comes from.
I thought that with all the resets that Rogue were getting at some point, G2 would be punished for their overextension, but full utilization of the Baron results in 2 inhibitors secured. And with the Dragon spawning, G2 are likely to set their sights on that objective, but it'll just be a passing trick.
Very interesting.
On the nexus of Rogue, who are now in full turtle position.
I think it's just going to be the end of the game really quick, right?
Difficult, but still, just in general, a relatively short cooldown.
You can see the damage that Rogue put out in this game. Yes, Larson has been struggling a little bit, as had Patrick had the opportunity to open fights, but G2 are just tanky, man. Like, Broken Blade can just eat this damage for days. Adam has done 26k, and yes, Broken Blade died a few times in the early game, but since then, it really hasn't looked like a threat. Right now, Unsummer is being...
Okay, Unsummer goes way too far forward. He's going to lose both arms, but he's just 8k ahead, so... This tag is really big.
Survive for the moment, but that was Rogue's engage. That was what they were looking for. Yes, they haven't used the Nature's Grasp, but if you can't catch out Hans, you can't catch out Lavrov. Broken Blade, who cares if you catch him out? The guy's sitting on 15,000 HP. He's doing an Elden Ring build. He's only static vitality, you know?
But he does have 6,100.
And how much does his feast do? I love looking at that number. It's going to be like...
I mean, Heartsteel, Cho'Gath, super obnoxious by this point in the game.
He has 2,296.
So just half of Patrick's health. nice enough as G2 will push in the top side. And
And while they're engaging on caps, they just lose the other side. They can't do anything here though. Like it's so. I mean, they had good moments from Rogue this time, a few, but they just it looked like they just beat themselves mostly. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's have a quick look again. Like, okay, so where is the fight? It's here, right? Where they TP behind. This stage of the game, 1.6k gold doesn't matter at all. So it's all about looking at the items. Items are even on AD carries. Items in mid are very difficult to compare, but you've got the Zhonyas and you've got the thing. Okay, you're an item behind in jungle. But this is the kind of fight that we want, where they're engaging on one of our tanks. Because otherwise, what kind of fight do we want? When you've got this peel back composition, what kind of fight works for you if it's not the one where everyone's engaging onto Braum? Like, if you ult Braum here, what, isn't this good? They said it's just all way too late. And then here, they just... Like, now they're just, like, pinging this as if they're like, spam pinging this as if they think that the game is in a really bad spot. It'd be really interesting to hear, like, what's going on. And this is where it's going to be so much about what's been going on in the week, you know? Like, how the scrims have been going and how the team talks to each other and all this kind of thing. Because now you are just, I don't know, like, you're just flipping this when they have so much... It's gonna shred you so much, and you feel like you really need to force this fight, I guess. So the fight goes badly, and you lose the game. It's strange. It's really strange. And same again, like you're just with what is Larson standing there because we're flashing over because we're like desperate to force any fight. Is this how? Like, why are we drafting this if we're not really sure how we're playing it? I don't know. It's hard, and like obviously G2 are a difficult and threatening team to play against, but especially in this season, especially with how the early game went, they just crumbled completely on two different plays. I thought I was going to see, like, if they'd have said, like, why are they doing Atakan? Because if I'm them, I'm like, why am I doing Atakan? Why are they doing Atakan?
And what is happening in the other game, and they're going to spot out the bot lane heading towards the top side of the map. But a small advantage gain for Heretics.
Okay.
Overcome the Mkoi giants they've been so far. The Mkoi probably
Heretics versus Koi. Oh, it's another person trying the spear poke comp. What do you think about Rogue's comp in general? I don't mind it. I would have preferred like Jace to have more damage so that we can force them to engage on us because we're really good at like disengaging. But disengaging when you don't have anything else to do is like, okay, but why are you you can't win the game from disengaging? You can win the game from like, we're going to split push and then we disengage while we generate a massive gold lead, or we poke and then we disengage while they try and fight on us. But just disengaging by itself doesn't win you the game. I'm just going to pause when we get to the end of the... Okay, so another Braum. So double jungle ban from side of Heretics and Callista. Don't know what happened to this ban. Don't know if they weren't allowed it or what. This because it's broken. This because it's LEC. This because... I'm not sure, actually. Because if you were going to go for Nidalee, like this Nidalee Varus thing is really annoying. Like, because it can be always poke Varus, and it can always be on hit Varus where the Nidalee heal is really, really strong as well. And because the Varus is gone, I think Corki becomes a higher priority where you don't want to just trade them back and forward. I think if you don't ban Varus here, maybe they go Cassante first pick and you get one of Corki or Varus and they get the other one. So you might end up with a very similar situation anyway. Lilia as an answer into... Oh, wrong one. Lilia as an answer into Nidalee. Can farm really fast as well. Much worse at the like super snowballing one side, but scales much better. And Draven into the Ezreal, I like that. We just want to play like super aggro on that one lane, and Corki can be mid because we've got AP jungle. So Braum again always means that it's hard. It can be hard to engage onto the enemy team. You've got poke. You don't have the Varus, but you've still got the other 3 people can be poke. Same thing, especially if you go damage chase build. And you still have that side lane threat, but also that like one click go button, which is really useful. Again, poke comps that are just like 5 poke champs aren't really going to work that much in competitive, because you need to also be able, like, it's thinking about like playing the fight slow rather than not having a fight at all.
Not next week, this year. Now, as we jump onto the Rift, as you highlighted, a lot of pressure. What I will say about Heretics is, to me, they come across as very green.
Braum as well means you always should think about the level 1, so they're going to go in. Braum and Ezreal, by the way. Super obnoxiously good level 1. So they're going to invade, they're going to get some wards down, and they get to choose probably the lanes that they want. I actually think the level 1 for bot lane should be quite good. So they do, yeah, so like it does wait, and so by the time you show, it's already too late to actually get the matchup you want. But you do have a bit more time to react to it. Cassante is much better in the swap than Ambessa is, and so I would say actually like Draven and yeah, like, so basically Koi, I would think, actually want this matchup. They want even though Draven is like strong and especially later on is really obnoxious to deal with against Ezreal if you get to engage. Level 1 Draven Rel versus Braum Ezreal, I think is a tough one. So it's Heretics who play the swap. Looks like he's going to be Bruiser or Tank Chase. They're going to try and dive. It's very difficult to dive Cassante. He's going to get a bunch of stuff, but he's going to die. Ooh, nice flash. So it takes them a lot of time, and he gets a bunch of XP.
I will say Carson played that about as well as he could have. He was able to get level 3. He circumvents the Q from
Carson played that really well. And he's going to TP back in, and he doesn't even lose the cannon minion. So
I feel for Carson. Koi had to invest a lot of time. They didn't really commit many summoners, but it is first blood that's drawn for Koi. So, I mean, well played from both sides. Of course, the good news for Flank is he's given a lot of free time up towards the top side of the map to just farm away. He even gets himself a plate. Now, Cher has made his way top. Has like speed advantage over early on.
Sten looking to engage on Mewen, who does just use that Drake Hound step to dash his way away. Trollwood will be cleared out. Sten does have a jungle advantage because, of course, he spent all the time that Elioy was diving bot, just farming through his camps. And gets over to 28 farm mark, looking for perhaps a first research. Just keep playing his way. TP in from Mewen to dodge Sten, Blacken, and Cher. He's underneath the tower. They can get him down here. Already down to half HP. I'm breaking Alvaro. Jojo on the wrong side of Camilo here. Jojo has to flash away. Camilo has a flash of his own. Elioy looking to die. Jojo is like a dodo dead. Camilo is going to get chased down. Elioy lands the spear. Camilo will fall.
okay, this is just a 1v1. A 1v1 kill from, what was it, LFL2 to LEC, and just solo kills the hyped up NA mid laner. And also flash as well, by the way. Like he has flash advantage too now. Can they do this live? Okay, Sten just messes up that combo, I think.
Made a poor assessment by going for an all-in that Camilo in the extended trade was able to get the better of. Nice confidence boost for him as Heretics set the sights on another dive top.
Okay, so Moen flashes the flash, that's why it looks a bit wonky. So Moen knows that you're going to just Q flash, so he flashes as the Q animation starts, not waiting for it to actually hit. Which means that the fight just trades up for a flash, the dive, not the fight.
In the end, the dive dissuaded Mewen did have to burn that flash.
Mewen still being put under a lot of pressure. You can see the farm discrepancy is pretty significant between the two top laners. We look back at this. Oh, Jojo, that was...
He just went way too far forward.
Big blunder there. If he hit that Q, that trade would have been a lot closer, but a bit of a misclick there means that Camilo ends up getting a solo kill in his favor. And he's happy to get the flash out from Elioy, and he's happy to get that kill.
And he gets double flash as well, so...
That was. Now, Dragon Grubs become the next priority objective. We turn our attention to the bot laners as they often love to get involved in this early objective.
It'll be, as always with Draven, what happens on that Draven first kill. That's always a big deal in these kind of games, which I'm not a massive fan of that, I have to say, as a mechanic for the game. Grubs coming up, which means both bot lanes go back towards top side. Neither jungler is going to be 6. Sten does... Oh, I thought he was going to die. Oh! That's so close. That's so close. If Blackett gets this kill, this whole play is. So he just isolates him in the 1v1. And if he manages to do a little bit more damage, the fact that Sten doesn't die because the support doesn't, the extra damage doesn't come in from Ezreal, and he manages to pick up a bunch of grubs. Oof, that's so close. Oof, the tag is really nice for Nidalee to have the Braum tag. But he just got the stacks as Shio, so he's able to just play around this really well.
He's a wind's breath away from dying, gets into the bush, dodges away from the spear, dashes back in, Jojo takes him.
And somehow at the end of all that, it's Koi that get the grabs.
I mean, Elioya might die to the grubs. Oh, swap seat. That's why Jojo now shows towards the top side. He's got to catch away, smite out from Elioya.
Okay, so it's 2 for 1 on the grubs.
Wow, okay. I mean, remember that fight started with Sten face checking the brush and Koi looking to punish the support. Only level 3, a very squishy run in the early game. He survived that entire
So Rel, like, face checking when they needed to go through top.
Abandoning their AD carry, but Super demonstrating what he has done so far this split with fantastic mechanics, great patience, is able to buy enough time for his team to turn their attention back towards him, get that kill on the Flacket, and then the chaos really did ensue.
Flacket didn't cash out either, importantly. Now down to 90 secs on those adoration. Carlson is level 6 first between the two top laners.
Carlson's been really good, by the way. Like, so many of the new top laners, Locke, Carlson, and Nako have all been really good.
Back to that Super point, only because last year so many knew him for his comments around him claiming to be stronger than death, right? And he became a figure that within the community a lot of people would. I mean,
2 levels up now as well. This is a lot about the swaps, right? It's about how well he played that first dive. This is the thing that it's like re-showing. This is where you see it again.
Wisely turns his attention. You can see the damage is good. He gets a bit of it. I think he got the heal back from Elioya at the very clutch there, which keeps him alive. Either it was the heal from Alvaro or it was the heal from Elioya, but that buys him enough time to get into the grub's pit. And then ultimately he's able to buy enough time until Sheo ends up cleaning that kill up. Nice flash from him, and then as we highlighted, a really nice turnaround there from Sten to allow Sheo to get another kill. And then Sten, I mean, he had nothing left. He did everything that he could, and it ends up being 1 for 2 in the grub story.
Elioya doing a good job to escape the Camilo Valkyrie as well. Thought he was a goner there. At the moment, though, and Koi about
So a lot of stacks gone for Draven. Is 132, if you can see that. 140.
Then Flacket died, so they're in an okay position in this early game. Gold leads for Carlson and Sheo, who's 2-0. Only on this early. Flacket Koi out with concussive blow.
It's just far too far forward. Like, he's got no flash, like we talked about. Play the game differently when ADs have flash or no flash. So no flash on Draven, and he's stepping way too far up for this wave. Here it's okay because Stend is there, but now Stend leaves and goes to top side, and he's still up. So they can just easily force this. Okay, he does manage to get a kill. I don't think he should, but he does.
To punish Flacket's no flash. The fact that he was able to get a kill back there, impressive stuff as well. Ends up being a 1-for-1. Gold advantage in favor of Flacket just because he's able to get that 175 gold cash out. The gold is pretty much even between the two AD carries, even though Super does have that kill lead. Slotro making his way back towards mid. Super level 7 stun. Will connect, but I don't really think Flacket can convert this into much. Support's really struggling on the experience department here. The grubs are going to be respawning in a minute's time. No dragon has fallen just yet, but I imagine Sheo setting his sights on it right now, given that he has push in bot and in mid.
Sheo has fallen behind a little bit in terms of CS.
Yeah, pushing both sides of the dragon, so just like we talk about, you can take it based on the tempo.
As you go through the bush, it's Gust Walker, that's the one. It gives you extra movement speed, buddy. So it's a Gust. It's quite Squirtle.
I don't know if you can.
I can say it's Squirtle as long as it's not like saying directly it's Squirtle. You know, Elioya though, onto Sheo. Put the sleep down. As you go through the bush, it's Gust Walker, that's the one. It gives you extra movement speed, buddy.
You can't face check as anyone against this comp.
I don't know if you can.
I can say it's Squirtle as long as it's not like.
So this is even when you've seen Braum leave, you just get poked down massively. So what Jace build is it? Yeah, it's going to be Bruiser Jace again. You see that just all the time now.
Has to be careful as Elioya fishes for a spear, but will not find one. Fortunately for Koi,
Playing for these second grubs.
they turn their attention on.
If either jungler gets like CC'd, they're just going to get one shot. So Lilia doesn't have flash. That's a big deal.
Fortunately for Koi, getting the flash out from Sheo will give them advantage. They turn their attention onto Elioya.
Has to flash then, pounce over the wall.
Worth trade for sure for Stend. They want to get at least one. So now they've denied the feet from it, but they just so they play quick and they deny the feet. But it's going to be 4 grubs.
You make sure that Employ aren't stacking up towards those neutral feats of strength. Yes, they get 4, they will have mites, but they haven't had a lot of time with your towers, and 1 mite is nowhere near as powerful as having these full 6 grub buff.
What I will say that I like a lot about these fights is due to the limited crowd control that is largely on the side of Koi, but really you could argue for both sides. It makes these fights like very chaotic because it's not about just blocking someone down and throwing them onto the next target. It's a lot of dancing back and forth, a lot of skill expression.
Sorry.
Land those skills,
Tired.
dodge at the right time, saving your flash at the right moment.
So push up through mid, go towards the top side. Sheo's there covering because all the camps are up there, like just respawning now. Flacket really wants these 1v1s against Super, but Super's just not giving them to him. After the first one lived on like 1 HP.
I think the next fight we're really going to see is around one of these neutral objectives, ready 3 minutes before the Rift House, 2 before we get that Ocean Drake. So perhaps it's a good time to talk about why Heretics winning this game would eliminate SK from the standings. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, but actually with Rogue losing the last game, we have 2 more teams locked into our playoff spot, Giants and G2. The standings not quite updated for the G2 victory yet, they are at 4 and 3. If Heretics win this, they'll get the 3 wins, which SK can't match. So SK would be entirely eliminated, and Rogue would need to win their final 2 games of the split if they are going to avoid, I was going to say relegation, but just avoid elimination from the winter season. Yep.
the struggles.
Yeah, so it's going to be SK and
They still need to win their games.
Rogue at the bottom by the looks of things.
Contested that 8th place spot, which is really what they
I
wanted.
think that's fair from the way they've played the games. It's not like they've been really close and losing, they've just been not very good.
Also short during the regular season. I actually wasn't that close. There was the final end of it, right? But all you need
Is that total plate gold?
You have to remember that last year, Koi, formerly Mad Lions, made an impressive
Surely not. 250.
in the
Okay, they just take 2 plates versus 1 plate.
short during the regular season. I actually wasn't that close. There was the final end of it, right?
That's wild,
All you
actually.
need is that opportunity. That's what these teams are looking for. Is the blue buff becomes the focus.
Just so much grouping and fighting instead.
Back up for 50 seconds as well. Miller likely going to go back to bot lane. Super trying to get what poke he can onto this bot lane. Oh, he goes in.
That's super catching forward there. Alvaro on the front line. Glacier Fisher going out. Losing Lullaby is going to put Alvaro to sleep. Elioya still putting the spears towards Heritage.
Yeah, 1 person sleep.
So in the middle of the race, then goes in onto Super, who cleanses the flash.
Well, Miller likely going to go back to bot lane. Super trying to get what poke he can onto this bot lane. Oh,
So this is the problem of a comp like Koi's, is that when you do find these moments that are good, it's hard to actually force something. So a bunch of tools happen, and you know, this is a good situation, but they actually can't get anything, so they keep extending until eventually Sten finds a really nice engage. So that's the downside, and that's why having like a bit more engage as well is something that we've seen quite a lot.
another chaotic fight where Koi just overstayed their welcome. Sten proving so valuable in so many of these exchanges. The moment that you burn that crucial cooldown, he is looking for it, and he punishes Super. Get both summons out from him, and Flag it secures.
Because like the first engage, they managed to disengage it, and then they try and extend to make the fight happen again. But because they don't have more tools of themselves, it just takes a little bit of time, and they end up giving a really good window and nice punish from Sten.
It's free stuff. It's free gold essentially for your team. As Merlin goes in with public execution, Miller still has the flash without There's a lot of damage coming out from Merlin.
Oh my goodness.
in the mid lane, picking up the lead in favor of his enemy AD carry counterpart.
Ambesso, especially when you're on ×2, by the way, Ambesso looks a bit
Be
silly.
the case. We've only seen one dragon kill so far.
He's a really cool jump, but he's just jumping around all over the place.
the petals as well. I was going to comment on this. Last walk past like 5 petals.
Yeah, it jumps in here,
It's free stuff. It's free gold.
jumps in here,
For your team. As Merlin goes in with public execution, Miller still has the flash without
jump, 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 jump.
Flashes away from the shadow strike. 2 shots. I think he would have just caught the tail of the corky there.
Ends up being a flash for flash, but they do have to base,
Doesn't quite have it off cooldown yet. 20 seconds remain before it will be back up.
so they're probably going to get the Herald on the side of Koi.
They shouldn't really fight for this one, but they are TPing Camilo back in, so maybe they want
Okay, TP's back, so can we look for this fight? And if so, how? How do we look for this kind of fight?
have it off cooldown yet. 20 seconds
You have to hit multi-person sleep, probably.
hands in the end. I think Heretics, like I
Although you do have flash on
said,
Rail.
a little bit more of the action.
They're too late though. They're way too late. The poke comes out from Koi. I don't think Koi should. Like ideally, once you've got the objective, you've leveraged the strength of your comp. But typically, the way you do that is by chipping away at your enemy's health bar. Mirwin just said, "I'm gonna slice you up before you go to base." Camilo was immediately forced to retreat, and now he has to be a lot. I mean, look at the damage coming out from Mirwin. He's lost his flash, and now a dive is on the horizon.
I think Camilo's about to be flushed, Betty. Winter's fight goes wide, so tanks it up, giving it a go. You're tanking here, Sten's
It's just like, I'm in danger.
Camilo was immediately forced to retreat, and now he has to be a lot. I mean, look at that. I don't think Koi
Because they just lose control of this jungle.
leverage the
So with Cassante going back this way, they lose control of this area, and so Koi can just
But typically, the way you do that is by chipping away at your
run
enemy's
straight
health
in.
bar.
Yeah, Cassante shows on mid, and they all show on vision, so they just lose control of that quicker path back towards top side. And so there's just a really good opportunity to instantly go for this. And this engage. Okay, I mean, it ends up going 2 for 2, I guess. Because then just keeps the fight going. But this like instant snap go back, I think is really good.
Your enemy's health bar. Mirwin just said, "I'm gonna slice you up before you go to base." Camilo was immediately forced to retreat, and now he has to be a lot. I mean, look at the damage coming out from Mirwin. He's lost his flash, and now a dive is on the horizon.
I think Camilo's about to be flushed, Betty. Winter's fight goes wide, so tanks it up, giving it a go. Zimmer around. Elioya is tanking here. Sten's looking for him, can't quite connect. Now Sten's in the midst of M-Core.
So because the tower did do a couple of hits, they are able to turn it to 2 for 2. But they get 2 towers. So still a really good recognize, like, okay, we can actually just shoulder through here, like we can just barge through and force Heretics to go wider, which gives us the time to make that play. So I think it's a really good one.
This Lilia is going to become a problem for Koi. As we talked about, the limited amount of crowd control will make it hard to lock this Lilia down.
Remember that Drake we fought over 3 minutes ago, Betty?
Yes, I do.
Well, it's still there if we want to go for it. Black has to get away from Jojo. Flashes forward. Black pops the barrier. Great, not back on the set. Black tries to back around, but Jojo.
Flaka doesn't have flash, and he's up on the mid lane wave again.
Make it hard to lock this Lilia down.
Remember that Drake we fought over 3 minutes ago, Betty?
Yes, I do.
Well, it's still there if we want to go for it. Black has to get away from
So they just insta jump on him.
pops the barrier. Great, not back on the set. Black tries to back around, but Jojo puts him in the ground. Camilo still diving forward into the missile. Public execution down towards one side and share. All that gold is all for Nords.
But
Remember that Drake we fought over 3 minutes ago, Betty?
Yes, I do.
Well, it's still there if we want to go for it. Black has to get away from Jojo. Flashes forward. Black pops the barrier. Great, not back on the set. Black tries to back around, but Jojo.
because it's just 2 of them,
Camilo still diving forward into the missile. Public execution down towards one side and share. All that gold is all for Nords.
Alvaro's going to die.
The arcane shift up in a second, stand on the wrong side of the wall. Camilo and Castle now need to retreat. Super dashes in the boss bomb.
Yeah.
Is not met with a missile compatriot, and Super will take another M-Koi, just absolutely smashing the skirmish.
Just like that, they catch Heretics with their pants down. Unbelievable execution, as it's Jojo that flashes onto Flackhead. The rest of his team is quick to follow up on that aggression, and I think that's one of the biggest strengths of this roster. They are unafraid and they are fast. As Koi is able
Yeah,
to
he's just stepping too far up without flash again, though.
look in the mid lane, Flack it isolated, doesn't have the support available. Jojo flashes in, gets the barrier.
He just can't be hitting that wave if he doesn't have flash.
To try and assist as well, they get that initial kill. But now the fight is on two fronts. On the bottom side, it's Sheo that's left isolated. Both Elyoya and Mirwin lock him down, and now the fight has become too scattered in these skirmishes. Koi is able to come out ahead, and they're able to find 4 kills for 1.
And even though it looks it looks okay for a little while because they all collapse onto mid lane, they die as they're collapsing. Yeah, it's the exact same thing as from last game. Like playing, LEC seems to get much better at this, and it's really really good to see. Like from the last couple of years, what we've seen in LPL especially, but also in LCK, is people just putting more and more emphasis on flash. And it used to be in LEC that you did the dragon, then you waited 5 minutes, then you did the dragon, and you know that kind of thing. Whereas what you see in other places is the second that someone doesn't have flash, you can change the way you're playing. So they're always just looking for like any engage in mid. And Flacker just twice stepping up way too far. Okay. Oh, Jojo goes too far. Yeah. Same mistake we see a lot, and something you can really punish in your games if you're even in solo queue is just like being aware of who's got flash and really playing for it is a big one. If you're like a support or if you're a jungler, for example, tracking like enemy AD and enemy mid lane flash, really important. But in a team especially. And the fights work or don't work based on which summoner has, which carry has summoners and which dive has summoners and that kind of thing. So you can just suddenly start this Baron because they've got no flash. It's like, it's that big a deal. So flash is back now. All heretics have flash. Jojo doesn't still. So they're going to jump on Jojo. Looks like. And any engage that hits anyone else, if you go on it, they're just going to flash away. But if Jojo gets hit by this well seed, if this hits Elyoya, he's also got no flash actually. So that was a bad example. But if it hits, I don't know. If Jojo has flash here, I don't think they go for this. But Stenders just instantly knows, like, I can flash combo this guy and he can't get away. So Jojo just insta dies.
The challenge of this comp for Koi is patience, because a single overstep will allow Heretics to lock you down and find the pick. But look at the aggression that we're seeing in response. Koi, knowing that
But a bunch of the tools are gone, so they want to just play poke. Almost. Yeah, and then they just don't have the they don't have the tools to get on them. So really nice from their backside from Koi. And this is the power of the Braum, right? Like the disadvantage is when you find yourself in a winning situation, you can't actually always force the fight to happen. But the advantage of just stacking more disengaged tools means that once the enemy has a couple of their tools gone, you just can't be engaged on. So in these like 4v5, it's not a good situation. But you just know that they can't engage on us. So eventually something lands and eventually something breaks. Yeah, really nice. So very good play from Koi, I think. They punish the Jojo having no flash, but then after that, they just don't have the tools to like engage onto them, and they need to go and play on lanes. But that's so hard to make that call 4v5 to say like, oh, we can't fight. That's horrible to be in that position to say that. But I think you kind of have to, you know, because you can't engage. So. Flacked no flash, Camillo no flash.
Bit of revenge there for Jojo after what happened in the mid lane. Numbers advantage. No TP available for Jojo, but he can just start pushing in that top side. Looks like he's going to move into the enemy jungle. No wave ready to play with. Maybe he's going to look to push out mid. Just a bit of a standstill right now between the two teams. Dragon is available, but Koi right now have no interest in it.
I really like the positioning from Koi generally though, because what they're managing to do is split the fight, and Sten always has to think, if I engage on Elyoya and I'll go towards the top side, Mirwin and Super are free on the bottom side.
And now they're just going to throw shit at them, and they've got the false life, so...
It's really nice positioning to make it difficult for Heretics to actually find avenues to engage the fight. Carlson, because suppose he's going to proc on him, but he still gets on Fisher go down as well. Sten still looking to engage once again. There's two pincers that he has to deal with. Black go out by Mirwin.
I quite like this Ezreal instead of Varus combo, because you're just a lot more mobile on the same thing, and better with the Braum once you get it, because you do end up doing a bunch of autos too. So now it's a really big, that's 5k gold lead for Koi. Poke comps are harder to like close the game, but especially with something like an Infernal Soul, it's harder in the small areas of the base because you have to come closer and you have to be, there's more angles to be engaged on once you come towards the enemy base. So playing outside of the base when you've got a leader to poke comp is fine. So they're going to get... Ooh. I thought Lilia ult was maybe going to come. So they're going to get the dragon.
Dragon has been a very low priority. Super ease in, gets punished for it. And we're sitting in the brush that is warded as the dragon ends up going down. And basically, it's just a game of poke. Can the poke
Still going to be another 10 minutes before they threaten Soul, but
It's gorgeous. He is spotted on vision. He comes around the wall. Joe looking for the sword seeds as well. Mirwin is below. Camilo right now. Then jumps over the wall. Doesn't find a connection. The public execution though. Jumps to the Carlson. Camilo trying to escape, but still.
yeah, okay. So this kind of flank, like it looks like you're inting because we end up all dying if you're on the side of Heretics, but it is the best that you can do. You have to make a fight happen. And Merwin jumps on the tank and then dashes towards Camilo. I don't know how Camilo doesn't flash here, by the way. We've seen a few mistakes from him in later stages that really cost games. This is maybe another one. Not that it costs the game, but like, how does he not flash here? What is he even going to flash, I guess? Yeah, he just gets... yeah. Oh, okay, no, he doesn't have flash. I thought it was up. So well timed from Koi, and absolutely that would be timed, like on purpose. They would have the exact flash timer, and it's not like they wouldn't fight that if he didn't have flash, but he wouldn't maybe insta jump the whole way. I thought he could have flashed and just didn't. Super hard to get in. You just hold the position, and when they come to you, then it doesn't matter if you've got engaged tools or not because they're coming to you.
Look back at the fight, and again, it's this moment. Notice just Sten moving up and down, indecisive as to who the target will be. Camilo a little bit separated alongside their top laner to follow up on that engage, and it's that right there that Koi looks to punish. Heretics, they realize the situation is dire. It's a difficult engage to find. The poke is continuing to come through from the side of Koi.
That was hard.
Falling apart. Baron secured. Koi with a 5.6
6k and a bunch of poke and the Baron. Probably going to lose the base on this. Why does he jump back in? He's just buffering his ult. I think he's just fine if he doesn't. No one goes too deep. Like, okay, he's just too disjointed. I think he dies anyway. He's just hitting this ward when we shouldn't be. And again, still difficult to force a fight afterwards, but this is just really like you need to wait for this wave to crash in mid and that wave to crash in bottom, then you can clear the pink ward. You just clear it too early. Oh, sorry. Then they keep playing the Unbreakable, but as soon as it goes down, now they can keep playing forward. I'm just playing around with Flackhead, like he is still really strong. He's got 2.5 items. Camilo does a lot of damage. Oh my god. And again, they start the fight. They start the fight that loses them the whole Baron. I was literally just saying I think they're going to lose two, like their base, and they're going to lose 2 inhibs on this Baron, which they should have done. But now they yeah, the Draven interrupt, like Velis is saying, a really good point. And same again, knocks Jojo in. Like it's 3 E's in that fight that do so much from Draven.
As you say, a double-edged sword, the aggression, you see the damage from Flackhead in that fight, 7.5k. And now Heretics might feel they have a little bit of the impetus in this game. They're trying to get in the mid lane cryo.
So they want to try and fight on the mid wave. Again, look at flashes. Flackhead flashes down. Super flashes down. And that depends how you can generate a time lead. Carlson is fine. And gets the Brawl ult. So Heretics just rush mid wave, but they have a wave in bot Koi, so they're going to still break the base. Still broke the base with the Baron, just like I said. There's just too much committing on mid lane. From Koi, that's why that happened. Then Carlson got caught. So still going to lose to the dragon, but it's not the soul, it's just the third one.
Easy one to close out for Koi, but due to their mishap on the top side of the map, we will go another round, and that's all Heretics are looking for. One more opportunity.
So 1 minute on the Baron. Flackhead's flash might be up for that. And now he's so strong that you miss position, you just get one shot. And as we've seen, these E's can be really, really strong. What? I think if Stend hits that, then Merwin's in a bit of trouble.
This composition is definitely something you can't afford to underestimate. It all comes down to the execution. We've talked extensively about the limited crowd control inside of Koi. Stend needs to find a good engage. Not an easy thing to do.
We've all been there, Stend, it's fine.
Too wide a wall.
That's a good time.
It's perfectly adequately
Actually, it would be fine, probably. So mobile.
Carl's going to jump before the center, as they do set up around the Baron, 20 seconds before it spawns. And the thing I think for MKOI is, if they play the fights, like they played every fight apart from the last one, they should be fine. But Stend is looking for the flank here, super out of vision, out of port, with a little bit of a slow. Maybe look at that flank of his own. I don't know if Stend spotted him then.
So far, not really any poke is landing. And we see Heretics a little bit split up here.
So, that's a poke. It's just about if you can get enough poke before the engage comes, right? So, Koi are looking for enough poke before a fight starts. And they have less tools to actually make the fight start other than flanking Ambessa. And Heretics are looking for the opposite. They want the engage before much poke. So that's why Stend and Shio just walking really far forward. They end up getting like chunked for it, but now the wave crashes on top side. Camilo can TP if he needs to, but everyone else has to like back and come all the way back out. And it's just going to be this like...
Waiting for the Soraka comps to start coming back into meta, but this is the tricky part. Camilo needs a spear, maybe he's a shock blaster now, 50% HP.
Yeah, you just need this fight to happen somehow. So Stend is constantly looking for like these really aggressive flanks. Like he's constantly like coming up here, can I try and get in there? When they come back here, he's like, can I keep trying to come around? Because he needs a fight to happen. And soon. Because otherwise someone will get poked. But if they go a little bit too far, they're still going to die. So that's why they're like playing really safe with it. Oops, sorry. Shouldn't have jumped back.
If he lands it on Elioya and Super, if he lands on a couple of parries, you know he's just going to go. True Shot Rush comes out. Doesn't really seem to do too much. The shield coming up from Send and Carlson enough to true that damage. Then have a locket. Down to half HP. Camilo getting mid lane.
Oof, and then one thing lands on Flackhead and it's already like half HP. Ooh, don't think they should go on that. I think it's too early. But you can see, okay, right, we hit something on Flackhead. Now Moen jumps in to play it slow, but a nice sleep, and then they get onto Super. Oof. Oh my god, look at Yoyo's damage, by the way. I thought this was going to be really good for Heretics, but actually because Flackhead just also dies. So yeah, one shots him. Yeah, so it is still good. So they just go a little bit too early again. Like they just need the patience, and this is why these comps are so hard to play, even though they're obnoxious to play against if you play it well. So no flashes anywhere now. Literally no flashes at all on the side of Koi, and now also Camilo is like really, really strong. So this soul fight, they got no flashes for it. So if any engage happens, this is like the end of the game. Heretics can win the game here if they get an engage. Let me just go to like normal time, because there's no flashes on side of Koi.
They're pushing through bot. Flacked, no sums. Super the same. In fact, no flashes at all for anyone on MKOI.
So Moen's going for a big flank to try and find something, but he needs to not go too early. Shio's trying to find any engage. They want to stay together so that they can peel the backline. They just have so much damage. Stend is getting absolutely chunked.
Super eats an axe, and that's a third of his HP already gone.
Look at the poke, medic. It is just ruthless.
Carlson trying to get back in. True Shot Barrage goes through him and through Flackett.
But they've got really good marking on Stend, so like, oof, okay, wait, that's a big engage. So Merwin is like stopping, like buying time on this side, and they just have marked Stend, so he can't get an engage off.
Look at the poke, medic. It is just ruthless.
And so I think the fact that Shio hits with E, he hits like 2 people, yeah, and that's enough for them to go because they just need a fight to happen. So they buffers the Braum engage to stop that engage, and now you've got no ult.
The Drake's still aggro, but it's still only at 9,000 HP. Sten's so low at the moment. Super gonna have to run. The Whirling Death is trying to chase him down. Public execution onto
And
Camilo.
Merwin
will go into the pit. Camilo is in fact the one who goes in. Sten's so low at the moment. Super gonna have to run. The Whirling Death is trying to chase
So
him
Carlson's
down.
trying to take out, yeah, so Carlson takes out Elioya so that they can win the smite. And he still went to 32 HP. And now they're just, this is why we're talking about, like, okay, who needs to engage and can they? Because we're just literally stacking up disengage tool versus engage tool, and they just have not quite enough disengage. Like, they just end the game here, I think, aren't they? So how would you play this differently? Because there's so much poke landing, they almost do everything that they need to. Here as well, this is such a good ult from Alvaro. Like, he interrupts the engage come out from Sheer. If he doesn't get this down, then I think Jojo probably just dies and they instantly lose the whole fight. And then Merwin's trying to, like, buy time and kill Camilo on the side. The fact that this doesn't hit, this Q doesn't hit Flakked, means that your AD carry now gets flanked out. I mean, like, pushed out. And this is now, okay, tough. But it also means that Carlson can just walk in and just take out your jungler. Yeah, now they're gonna win. Oof. That's a big last fight. Okay, last game. Again, I'm gonna let you watch the draft, and I will come back and talk about it afterwards.
We'll see if they want a little bit more engaged.
To E over to Drake pit and play to finish. Yeah, I think the fact that Elioy is still, like, trapped in that pit trying to finish it and then just gets left by himself. You're right. I think that's a bad moment. I'll jump back a little bit so you can hear it while it's going, and I just go to the toilet quickly.
Wouldn't mind a Braum for Vitality. Just looking at the 2v2 in the bot side. Braum is relatively good into Rel, but we'll see if they want a little bit more engaged, like the Nautilus, like the Leona that you were talking about, Betty. And with already knowing the support as well, picking something like a Leona and then being, having a Braum picked into you isn't really a possibility.
Alco taking the Jace away. Could push KC towards a Nart. We talked about the Nautilus. We could look really smart right now, Vitality, if you just lock that in.
I also did say I wouldn't mind a Braum, so one of us is going to look. Oh no,
okay,
please,
Hilly, that would
Hilly,
be
come on,
Hilly.
come on, man.
Nah, man,
I've never seen a player die 12 times in the first 5 minutes. Okay, nice. Andrew, calm it down.
I will say, though, again, Vitality's engage is very much centered around this Wukong. It is kind of the meta right now, given that we have so much poke. But the thing with Varus, good follow-up. You also have the Gravity Zone field, Chaos field, the W from Victor. And the solid follow-up with the Braum. With a lot of skirmishing power, especially on the side of Vitality. Right now, a hover on the Amphessa. Anna has brought that out so far in this split.
Right. Let's run through this last draft then. Let's hang on Braum. Can't engage on Braum. So it's Victor first pick. Similar bans. This Ezreal ban. Kliss has been insanely good on Ezreal, but he's been good on other stuff too. And you're trading. You've got these 3 AD carries open. And I guess the thinking is we're going to get at least one, obviously. This as a 1-2, you have to know that that's coming if you're going to do this trade and give Victor. Bunch of tanks gone. I'm not even going to talk about Skarner. Fuck Skarner. So for these 3, this would normally be like an AP jungler. I think especially when you're already locked in a melee mid laner. I mean a ranged mid laner. This is a slightly strange one, but could just be like Yike's preference in the matchup. I think you can go Mumu here, for example, as well. Good into the Wukong, AP threat, and a tank, which has the engage. With the Jace, you can always play to threaten range stuff. Definitely KC need to engage, and can they? Probably. They have some good engage. They have these 2 engage, and they have a flanking. So then it's not like an easy, like 1-1 draft or anything like that. What else? Yeah, I would rather not Sedge, but maybe it's just his favorite into the Wukong.
It's going to be the final lock-in. I was expecting
Because
a little bit more poke, but
I think you have to think about Ambessa.
Sejuani for Sam Besser is great.
Because Sedge and Besser is like one of those combos. Sedge and Besser, Sedge Jax.
Makes for a very
This kind of thing is just really obnoxious.
combination where I kind of expect them to be. I'm excited.
Okay.
Per usual. So 3 or 4 Vitality fans as well pointing to the match. Doesn't surprise me they can't outvoice the KC, the blue wall, but still great to see support both teams here.
So KC could be joint first if they win this, right?
Obviously, Braun very powerful in early skirmishes because of the concussive blows, and there's the pause.
Okay, straight into the balls.
All on the top side of the map, so Vitality aren't going to find anything in this bot side jump.
So you're going to see pings come down to highlight how they can sidestep the vision. There's a deep ward to keep track of a potential lane swap. Deep vision, but that single ward should see Vitality.
So they push in to get the lane swap. I mean, get the lane swap vision.
So now,
KC's second rotation ban Scream Rel. I would ban that over Gragas.
So all of Carmine go out,
Yeah.
immediately run to this side of the map. It looks like Connor is going to path towards top.
Yeah.
KC seem to want standard lanes. Targets clipped.
I think if they know they want Braum, then I guess it's fine. It's not the best matchup right into Rel, but
It looks like Connor is going to path towards top. KC seem to want standard lanes. Targets clipped. We use that Oracle's alteration. There's a 3v4 hit a tank. He's already taken the win despite flash across the wall.
okay. So as we said, level 1's really strong for the Braum,
they're also going to get Hilly's flash. Now, Darkness did have to use the ignite, but
Situation.
but they just get outnumbered, right?
They also saw the
Yeah, because Jace is basing.
Carmine go out, like, immediately running to this side of the map. It looks like Connor is going to path towards top. KC seem
And now
to
2 people aren't there, and it's just 3v5 in the jungle, or 3v4.
There's a 3v4 hit a tank. He's already taken the win despite flash across the wall. Burns that summoner and escapes.
So if you're going to play with Braum, you have to play with Braum, you know?
but they're also going to get Hilly's flash. Now, Darkness did have to use the
It's going to be
ignite
on hit Varus.
situation. Neither side will lose any
Because have plenty of people to hit in this game.
Come down. Ooh, nice there from Kalist. Lands the auto just as the minion dies with Ren. People have Ren available. Does the exact same thing just there. 2 quick Ren procs on the Kazi. Immediately gives Kalist. Well, I should say equalizes the HP between the two. Level 2 going to come through. Flash in.
Targets immediately jumps onto Hillisang, who will land that winter spike. Kalist will be stunned up. Does have the cleanse, doesn't burn it. Doesn't think he can kill Hillisang from 400 health.
Great response there from
So
Kazi.
both sums from Hillisang gone already.
Braun as quickly as possible to limit Kalist's ability to follow up. Kalist had the cleanse available. Decided, you know what, it's fine. We'll get the heal out. The only downside, Targus had to expend his flash as well. So reset going to come through. Kalist dagger picked up. No bots available for him. Could be a small window for Kazi to get a bit of an XP lead.
And it's less of a downside to have to burn your flash on well because you already have the crash down, you have the mount up, so movement speed, you can use your EVE movement speed, but also he has hex flash, so if he wants to look for that hex flash out of the bush into the lane, always has a little bit of threat.
Now, I am mid laner myself.
Okay.
Big fan of mid lane champions, even though mid lane meta isn't as exciting as it could be.
Okay. Not enough Katarina is what
Victor,
you're saying.
we're praying to Showmaker still. Victor has demonstrated a number of different rune choices. We saw Grass Victor last week, we've seen Airy Victor, we've seen First Strike Victor, now we're getting Phase Rush Victor.
Phase Rush Victor, actually, yeah, that's a good point.
Easy to proc as well, and it synergizes nicely with once your Q is
Red
ready,
buff on Yikes, so he's able to chase away for the
just because of how your Q works, make it
Scuttle.
And having that extra mobility just helps you circumvent things like Poké Rockets along with the Q proc as well. So just want to highlight that because Victor has become the new Azir, and basically you can throw a dice, whatever it lands on is whatever rune you're going to take that day, and I'm sure you can find a way to make it work.
Just bring that flex, that's what I'm asking for. Play on everyone. It's, you saw Lintus and Yike meeting up in the jungle. Yike was forced away, both are going to be even in terms of farm. I think Lintus had 1 camp ahead right now.
Teleport straight back into mid lane.
Like TP's back, didn't quite replenish his entire health bar, but has that tier, and will want to start stacking it up.
Kind of expectedly falling a little bit behind in terms of matchup. The poke is annoying. Nice shield to block some of that poke coming in from Nagago. And you can see that early on the trades can't really go in Khan's favour, so he's forced to kind of play defensively, get what trades he can. Priority of securing as much as possible. Darkness goes to the Hex Slash. Qs from both supports, a sidestepped. Yike. Oh, I actually thought you cancelled his base to provide a little bit more time of the wave. He's bouncing back towards KC, so he should feel the safety. They have that wall down and Tribush as well to swan out through the as make a play. Dragon up. And well, right now, and the grubs should follow in about a minute's time.
Yeah, KC will spot Lintus as he walks around the corner here. Can't get rid of that Sentinel.
Very chilled game from Vitality. Not even a kill or a death by 5 minutes. So they're going to reset, they're probably going to swap for the grubs.
Going to be about 10 farm down overall.
It's also just bars at a certain point, like around level 3 in the matchup isn't as great when you're on stack wave 2. There's a lot of use player, especially if the Q from Braun doesn't connect. Swap is what I want to talk about, and already you're going to see it come through from Kazi. Both these teams love to prioritize the early grubs, as many teams do. Here in the LEC,
Hillisang goes through mid.
Targus will be a little bit slow.
Doesn't actually show because Syke doesn't need the help pushing. Now he shows for the next wave. So they can hard shove this next wave. Kazi's already getting the top wave pushed in. And so now even if there's a contest, they're going to have pushing in top and pushing in mid.
Interesting choice as well from Hillis, working through mid. Decides he wants to try and get Chayak pressure in that lane so he can move quicker out of mid lane. He will be able to move first, but Targus on the chase. At the moment, Kazi yet to join up with his team. Hillis dashes away. The gravity well goes down. 2 grubs. Secured
So 2 grubs already.
So Yike will be able to smite that away. 2 for 1 the exchange.
That's what we see many times before. Hilly not forced to expend the flash, but did of course lose his heal. Low as well.
Yeah, so just a bit faster on the swap.
Carries in the mid lane. They really don't want to fight early.
So it gets them 2 of the grubs.
Let's say carry. In this situation, too much happened, which means that now both teams send the sides to drag, but both top laners are on the bottom side of the map. Those, they just keep throwing
I thought with these teams that this would be like the most chilled one. Yikes, and try and make something happen bot, but
Hillis going to jump forward. They go for Kalist, who crashes away. Has the flash burnt. As you say, no objective on the top side.
instantly burns flash.
It should be. Yike can find anything in the bot lane, but
But no, like still has cleanse, right? So now they're going to crash this wave in and then probably swap back. But there's no dragon, so maybe they don't.
1 million. Probably won't lose the count.
Or they make another play on the top side while the dragon is going. Okay, so they dive instead, yeah. Really nice. Very aggressive, obviously. Oof, Jesus Christ. A ramped up tower damage.
Much harder. Kalist would have loved to
But that's so bad for Kalista right now. He's 20 CS down. He loses flash straight away, then has the base, then comes back and loses, like dies, and also loses cleanse.
And it's pretty straightforward. Kazi doesn't have maximum health, but
And he's been such a key figure, obviously, for KC.
the dash comes through, and it's just a chain CC of ultis, basically. It's a good thing that Lintus ends up getting
So putting him behind is really, really big.
but just utilizing the level
And
differences.
you know that the dragon is going down anyway, and so your choices are like, do we swap back and we're just late on the swap back, or do we do a replay on like top side and it just catches KC out completely?
Much eliminated, well, they've already been eliminated by the earlier wins.
Yes, and regardless of the outcome of even this weekend for KC, just a huge testament to the shift from last year. Right? They struggled throughout the entire year. They started off winter incredibly poorly, and it didn't look that much better in spring. But now they were able to get their prodigy, Celeste, to join the league. And I feel like he's definitely like one of those games that has been overhyped. You know, everyone goes to play it and they're just like, oh no, this is not what I thought. But I really feel like he's delivered on the hype. He showcased a lot of highlight reels, and he's had a fantastic start. In this game, a lot of focus has been put on trying to shut him down a little bit due to how the lane.
Flex too far forward.
Away from the glacial prison, and can't go with it.
Yeah.
So KC's time to return the favour. They set their sights on Jayak, and he was not given an opportunity to move. Nice punish there. Didn't even get a chance to flash. The chain CC was lethal.
TP coming to the top side as well. Hilly and Kazi. Well, Kazi has the flash. Hilly's going to land the wizards by Shadow Strike going down with Crash down as well. Hilly looking to dash to Kazi here. We'll get the Guardian 2. Linus is coming in.
Okay, and then this peel back, like
There. Didn't even get a chance to flash. The chain CC.
this peel back is really good, and that was exactly what we talked about with the Vi game, right? Playing onto Braum like this can be so obnoxious. You don't quite kill him, and then you just used everything. So on the way back, you just get chained down by everyone. And 4-0 Kazi, and they've got 4 grubs, 5 grubs, right? And it's all from this play. And you have to play aggressive as Kalista. So this is a massive one. Really nice read from Lintus, really well played from everyone involved, basically.
At the start of this game, we were talking about how Vitality were the middle of the pack. They beat those below them, can't beat those above them. Well, this is an exceptional start towards perhaps disproving that hypothesis. Kazi has gone for the on-hit gold. Could have told with a lethal tempo, but he's already got his Blade of the Ruin King as well. 2,000 gold in a hole.
So Kazi's going to get really tanky. I would assume he goes the slightly tanky version of the build. But he's also just going to be putting up so much damage in this game. So he doesn't have flash, so he's playing far back on the wave. Very good. I guess Kalista is low, but you don't step up to the wave. Nako flashes the ult. And they play on the other side now, so... Kazi pushes through mid and comes towards top side, and I think they maybe play on here, but they're out of time. Yeah. So another dragon for the side of KC, and Vitality just say, right, we're just playing for the gold. Targmaster just goes way too far forward.
Having a good split overall. He did have that one game where he died a bunch.
He's had a few games where he's been a bit chaotic.
But other than that, he's been very solid. And Vitality playing with the strength of their bot lane 2 versus 2 to
Yeah.
first tower secured.
And now it's a 5k gold lead. Like, this is insane. And this is like the super, like, the aggressive calls from Vitality. This is perfect. And I say this every time. I just love watching a team that has a specific thing that they're going for, and they just get better and better at it.
So do I. Anyway, Harold's warning about a minute
I think come summer, Vitality is going to be really dangerous. I mean, they're look at like a game like this, they look dangerous already, right? But they also looked really not dangerous in other games.
He's played pretty defensively. If you look at the map right now, you can see him hiding in the tower. He can't afford to overstep. They need a lot more information. He should pull out Yikes soon.
Okay, no flash on Jace, so...
Possibility of that happening on the side lane is that much higher. So he's going to play pretty defensively. And if you look at the map right now, you can see him hiding underneath the tower. He can't afford to overstep. They need a lot more information. He should pull out Yikes soon. Speaking of...
Kazi is so close to doing so much damage in this situation. Sack's not TPing though, so it's 4v4. He needs like one more auto and then he'll get his reset as well. But instantly they just leave it and they go to the other side of the map.
He's going to lose some of the farm as Giant continues to push in top. I mean, like, the idea of getting a kill is pretty good, but you're going to lose your top side jungle 4. You're going to take a lot of damage to this mid lane tower.
And you're going to lose mid tower. Like, so this is a really nice response from Vitality. They could play more aggressive on the fight, but instead they just hard go for the cross map.
Like, sure, the idea is good, but if you're not really converting it into anything, what does the play really result in? They have a TP available for Nako to go towards the bot lane. He's able to prevent that siege from continuing.
Yeah, so again, good, nice response from Vitality. They're able to pick up Herald as well.
Yeah, it's a small thing from KC where looking back through some of their VOD, the early objective control isn't the strongest in terms of their setups, and I think sometimes where you see the biggest strength of them is their mid-game team fight. They have a lot of very talented players, and so when they find themselves in the 5v5s and they have the opportunity to kind of outplay, that's where you see a lot of their skill expression on full display. Especially last week in their 3-0, they had a lot of really impressive fights, especially around Alakan. And that is an objective that I think many teams are still trying to figure out. When it started, how to best punish versus kind of starting the objective and then using it as a tool. So we'll see how both teams navigate that.
Artican is going to spawn on the top side of the map. Vitality's trying to get a little bit of vision around there right now. There is a Drake a minute before that Artican though, and I'm pretty sure Vitality won't want to give that one up. Carmichael have some vision in the vicinity, a couple of control wards in the sort of the shallower portions of the river.
So it's just going to be a bit chill now. They've got 4k gold lead still though. They want to push up through mid and go to this side. But Kana finds himself a really nice flank because they got so much control in the river, like from their previous play. So Vitality were playing really heavily on this side. KC were playing very heavily on this side. So coming in these areas is always going to be a little bit nervous. He's got both sums, so that's why he's like quite far forward and he's trying to save Hylissang. Thing misses and he's
towards the red buff of Vitality, but they're very much standing back, accepting waves. Only really Kana has the ability to push in this lane.
they're just all a little bit disjointed. Okay, the chain's missed. Like if the chain didn't miss, okay, that's already much better. The flash doesn't get out of the rail combo though. And then they lose it all. They're still in a really good spot, but Kana finding that flank was massive. Now it's going to be third dragon. Now that is a big deal. You're trading gold for the other dragons, and now you made a mistake around this third one.
It does go over to Carmine Core. I don't even know if Yike smited in that. I think Vladdy just secured it. Annoy attack over Phosphorus. He's flashing forward. He's angry. I mean,
the idea is good. He gets the slow. The Wukong can definitely follow up on that. Doesn't quite connect it though. They use the Herald
tempo as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely looks like that. I mean, now we're in an interesting state because KC find themselves at soul point. Of course, Vitality investing so much on the top side of the map to secure that first tower.
Touches away from it. Gravity well coming down as well. I agree with you, but it's a very interesting state. And right now, Hilly. Oh, Hilly! Well, Hilly's turn to gas, and that's a state you don't want to be in, even if you're playing Braum. 0-2-8. While Carter pushes in the top side.
My man needs to calm down. 3 times now. First, he's trying to get a deep ward without proper wave states. The second, he's flashing onto the corki. And then the third, he writes the Herald into the tower. Oh my god.
Just like that. Back in the game.
Oh, they certainly are.
KC are back, yeah. Now they're losing that tower as well, so it's going to be like fully even in terms of towers. Oh no, they didn't get mid tower, so 2-3.
Icon's going to be too difficult of an objective to start early, as we've seen many times before. I imagine we'll return to a bit of a lull state, and the Dragon's going to be... and meanwhile, it's crucial to recognize that while all this has been happening...
Murumana, side of Corki. This third dragon is going to be... Fourth dragon, sorry, is going to be a really big one. I mean, Vitality are in such a good space. They were like 5k up with this comp that should be like fine scaling with like Victor and stuff.
Collecting that experience, collecting that gold. So it's a great job as a team by Carmine Core to get Kalist back into that spot. Karzi's still 1.3k gold ahead, so has 2 completed items still. If he has time in a fight, we'll be able to rattle through these Carmine Core members. But right now, Carmine Core playing well around vision.
Still, Karzi is massive. Forcing a TP for something? Look how much fucking damage Karzi does.
Just around the bend to see if they could collapse on Nako overextending, but he doesn't. Vitality turn their eyes towards Artican. We've seen throws here before already.
Yike very low.
Karzi's going to do so much damage to it.
KC faithful showing their support. Yike looking for an angle back in.
King of Smites so far in Winter. Tries to get in, he gets close, he can't get close enough.
Yeah, they don't let him. I was going to say, don't 50-50 against Yike. It seems like a nightmare.
Trading to a challenge strike, Kalist and Targus trying to kill him off. Hylissang jumping in with the unbreakable. They just want to get that pulse life out. The Magnus coming out as well. Nako and Hylissang, the heal use, try and get them away. Now the time that comes Kalist, but Kalist and Targus will take 2 pulse lives away. They take the Sunder as well from Hylissang. It's not much, but it's something there for Vitality.
Nako wanting to push that extra wave, definitely getting played for Karzi. What a hero for Vitality. Punishes the TP. Questionable play overall from KC, because what are they really TPing into? And then Yike ends up taking so much damage from Karzi as well. Then the follow-up comes
yeah, and then that means Vladdy gets caught. Really nicely timed ult, but I agree. I don't know what they're TPing for.
They need to secure this. A soul for KC wouldn't be the end of the world, but it's still a mountain soul, and that's pretty difficult to deal with. Vitality have those false lives still, so they're just getting the mid lane priority. Can use the help bars a little bit to do so. Shadowing strike onto Chaya. He continues to chase across the wall. Kalist has the flash. Will use it. Gets the base call out.
Okay, so they get flashed and the AD carry. Now they have to play for the dragon.
I mean, I like it. I like the idea. It's just sometimes you see Hilly jump forward and you're worried. You know?
You hesitate for a second, but yeah, as you rightly said, the idea was good. He was threatening to engage onto Yike, kind of lowering the judgment from Vladdy, but then he misses the Q onto Vladdy, so no follow-up coming through from there.
Okay, but they trade this for an inner tower, and this is the problem of like losing these 3 dragons means you have to fight for all of them.
Did a good job of making sure that Vitality had to invest 5 players to take that Drake, because obviously the threat of the steal was there, so Kana got free time in the top lane, takes that top tier 2, gets a little bit of gold back into his pockets. He's 1.6k gold ahead, almost at 3 items. Eclipse and Black Cleaver already complete.
The advantage is largely sitting in Karzi's pocket. With the Terminus now completed, the on-hit build has already come together for the Varus. Who imagine something like Sancho may come out next, a little bit more durability, synergies nicely as well with Terminus. Karzi really has become man of the hour. Vitality put the eggs in the Karzi basket, and so far he's delivering them to the neighborhood. He's doing a lot of damage.
So he's healing people.
Okay, it's a metaphor. Okay.
But when you put the eggs in the basket, don't you want to keep them?
I don't know. Let's not dive deeper into my metaphors. It sounded cool at the time. And let's just say that Kazi's doing good job.
Yes.
Great job. Dragon.
It's a fucking good job from Kazi.
Someone like that, yeah. Kazi's doing a great job. And Baron becoming
Okay.
out of contention. He's a little scary for both sides.
So still, like, Kazi's just massive, and if you don't kill him instantly, like, he can just auto on everybody, and he chunks anyone
If someone has the high ground, it's can't fight.
at this stage. So it's all going to be about, like, if you can get on Kazi, he's got both sums. So because he's got both sums, and because Kalisto has no flash and Vlade has no flash, I think they're just starting this Baron.
If someone has the high ground,
So they really want to play for a fight, and they really want to get on to the carries of KC. Cannon's shown bot. So, like, they don't even have any flanks or anything. It's literally just the flashes. So they check what KC do.
move Vitality. But Khan is still pushing him bot lane, and Vitality aren't really matching him right now.
So the idea is to get his DP, right? They're trying to bring him over. They're trying to put enough pressure onto KC. They say, come on, get involved. Oh,
So Linz has been doing this quite a lot. Time is engaged. There we go. That's smart.
What?
Smart move, Vitality. But Khan is still pushing him bot lane, and
So Hillsang bases,
so the idea is to get his DP, right? They're trying to bring him over.
and Linces knows this is there, and he still goes in.
so Linz has been doing this.
Targamas just forces anything because they're TPing, and they see Hillsang in base.
Time is engaged though. Shayak has to flash away. Glacier Prison hits. Linz has already killed
It's like Shayak flashes the other side of... Does he flash the other side of the Wukong? To force the Wukong to tank it, I guess.
So Linz has been doing this quite a lot.
Let me look at this in normal.
Targamas engages
Okay,
though.
no.
Shayak has to flash away. Glacier Prison
Yak
hits.
just
Linz
ults
has already killed off Targamas though,
Wukong.
and now Yike is next on the menu. Kazi takes him out.
Yeah, so, I mean, disengage, I think, is just not very good. I can see why he's going for it, because they see Hillsang has gone to base. He says, okay, like, I can engage. And here, I think you can flash R.
Has been doing this quite a lot.
Yeah.
Targamas
But nice flash from Kazi. Like, this is the power of flashes.
Linz has already killed off Targamas though.
Both carries flash, which means they both live.
Kazi takes him out.
And then
See what Carmine Core were looking
you
for,
can't,
but they couldn't quite find
can't
it.
win. I dislike how every team gets Atacan and there's no immediate plan with it. Like, for example, Vitality game, 2 of them died, greeding the extra wave. Yeah, I mean, they don't plan to die there, right? Like, they want to just clear that extra wave and then reset, and then they can make a play with the Atacan.
So Linz has been doing this quite a lot. Targamas engages though.
So they want to play on the edge, but they just make a mistake.
But Khan is still pushing him bot lane.
I don't think they wouldn't do that if they didn't have a GA, you know? I think they just fuck up.
So Linz has been doing this quite a lot. Targamas engages though.
I want to see the back end of this fight as well. I went back to times 2, but...
On the menu, Kazi takes him out. You can see what Carmine Core were looking for.
So Kanazult also
From mid lane.
goes for Hillsang, but it's just Hillsang.
Kazi's still very healthy here. Kazi's going to have to turn his attention across towards him. Hilly going for Vladdy now, who doesn't have the flash. The contested blows will land on him, but Vladdy takes down Hilly. No knuckle down to Kalist. 3 barons remain for Vitality. The low ground is still a footing of weakness, it seems, as Kalist is able to find one on the way out. Now needs to get out towards the bottom side of the map. Kazi's on the chase, Linz gives it up, and we'll just go for the razor beaks.
The Wukong is, like, so strong here.
How much damage Shayak could do. Vladdy ends up getting a kill onto him. Nuggo, I think his responsibility there is just trying to keep people out of the fight. We look at this. It is a 3 versus 3, I guess, at the start, because Kalist's not really in a great position. The front line just gets melted, and then the 2 members of Vitality that are on the front line splash out.
Like, Kazi does so much damage to the front line here.
Shayak acting as a zoning tool. Kazi actually takes a sip of his war. Another day in the office for him.
I wonder if Carmine Core saw the resets, because both Nako and Hilly were coming out of base that engage happened. So I wonder if Carmine Core's like, hey, we have a small window where we have a mana advantage. We can go for that.
Yeah, I definitely think Targma sees that and just has to go. But because they both got flashes and because none of your carries have flashes to follow up,
Once they got the initial kill on Target, so just a bit of an execution
Can't
blunder.
win.
Now with the Baron Vitality, a largely clean game from them. Outside of the plunder that happened around the river, they've had a solid one. And then look at the upset the apple cart as Casey. They were trying to fight for first place, and Vitality looking to take that away and secure a spot in playoffs themselves.
With Vitality winning, this does give them that spot in the playoffs. Fighting for the final one. As Nako currently pushing through mid, doesn't have that.
I mean, I would not describe this as a clean game, but they
Here to actually apply pressure onto lanes. Linz and Kazi have to team up to clear out vision in the river.
they were ridiculously far ahead and then they threw ties.
There's a small window for Carmine Core just to pull the trigger on it, see if you can win the 50-50, get the soul. Vitality, Vitality, they only have 3 of them, so it's a
Yeah, 50-50 though, because it's not 50-50 because you've got Callista, so you can't, as Vitality, you can't let them be on this. You have to fight. Yeah, like you don't know how they're in this situation. Just push this bot wave in really deep.
But I think that with just Vladdy alone, they don't have enough dive damage. And the fact that both giant analysts had their flash meant that they could immediately disengage once they got the initial kill on Target. So just a bit of an execution blunder there from KC. Now with the Baron
But side gets pushed away. They hard engage on the bot side, KC, like they hard push on bot, which pushes Victor away. Now he resets. They're just resetting with 20 seconds left.
A small weakness here for Vitality, they only have 3 of them, so it's a little trickier to actually apply pressure on 2 lanes. Linz and Kazi have to team up to clear out vision in the river right now. Hilly has just reset.
And now they can't get control of the river.
There's a small window for Carmine Core just to pull the
So KC have a way to get in. They play around bot lane.
win the 50-50, get the soul. Vitality can start to step forward.
And now they're going to get soul.
Look how low. The Drake is already
And Targamas gets a nice flank. Kazi dies because this time they don't have flash.
through their bot lane dead. The Drake soul secured for Carmine Core.
I mean, how many times have we got say it, when Casey can just play the 5v5 fights, they're able to come out ahead. But what was the positioning of Kazi there?
I mean, like, this whole thing is really terrible.
And we'll just go for the basics.
I mean, Vitality got a little over-aggressive there. I think Hilly overestimated how much damage Chaya could do.
We need to play for this. 130. We've got 3 waves to play for that. We want to play on mid and bot. Top lane is in a great spot, I think, for us. I can't remember before the replay, but I think it's in a good spot. Okay, so Vladdy's had to go top, and it's still fine for us. Just fuck top. Play on mid bot. 2 waves, so we need to keep it pushed and just not let them in. But instead, we just push through like very like chilled. Sayak wants to go back to base now, and Hillisang, as you say, also goes to base on this really weird timer. So because they both base, they get to fully not only get into the dragon, but also find a really good flank. Targamas gets a perfect flank. He's just flipping it if someone's there, but it's the right thing to do. And now you've got Kazi with no flash here. And it's just... That's swung the game. That's not Kazi's fault. That's like the whole team's fault to let them into this whole area.
Tier 1 in the mid lane, they'll go ahead in turrets for the first time this game and even out the gold as well. We'll have another look at this because, as you said, like, what is Kazi doing in the pit here?
I mean, so he moved into the pit to sidestep the ulti, but I think it makes it too easy for Yak to throw that ulti on him. Hilly and Naka weren't even there. It was a numbers advantage for KC. They made the right call to just force the objective. Vitality were too slow to set up proper response.
Vitality just didn't set up that objective at all.
It's a full level over Kazi now. They're pretty much equal on atomization.
So it's still... it's still like you need to kill Kazi, otherwise he kills everyone in your front line. And Victor is like scaling up. I mean, that Leandri's cost you the soul, so... Victor is doing Krugs at the moment at Dragon Spawn, so please tell me no. So here he bases, and he gets Leandri's. Right. Wait, he had Leandri's already? Maybe he just bases for fun? Okay. You just can't... Like, okay, so enemy goes really hard for this wave in bot lane, which means you get the mid tower. But you need to just be ready on the next waves to play for this dragon. He gets pushed out of bot, he doesn't want to stay here, so he resets. And then he tries to play the fight through bot. So that's why he goes bot. But he can't get in. Like, he has to just come with everybody. I mean, already this is worse than it should be. But he has to come with everybody together, and someone needs to watch this flank so that we can actually come in here and play this fight. But we've got Hillisang in base, Sayak here, trying to, like, he can't come through bot, so that's why he starts taking Grugs, I think. Because, like, he can't come and fight for this through bot lane. Yeah, and so when it's spawned, yeah, he just needs to be there. It's just, this is ridiculous. Yeah.
He has a full level over Kazi now. They're pretty much equal on atomization. Casey definitely now feel like they're in the driver's seat.
With that mountain soul in their pocket, just gives you so many free stats, gives you that shield as well to avoid a little bit of the poke that comes out from Vitality. Credit as well to Targamas' engages being...
Yeah, he didn't even back for an item. He just backed because he was on the weak side and he didn't have anything else to do, and then he just needs to come through mid. You can't come through bot when enemy went 5 bot. You just come through mid and then you're all there at the objective. And you don't let them just start it, and you mark the flanks, and you shouldn't lose the fight.
I don't think he was prepared for the quick response engage from Casey. Meanwhile, in the 4-5v5, Casey just has great awareness of their positioning. They play the front to back very well. Vitality, they can't afford to miss position like that. Hilly is so crucial in these fights just because...
I think the fight is okay, Vitality, if they're 5v5 and watch flanks. Yeah, exactly. And I think he's walking bot lane to see if they can engage, like, if they can control it from both sides. But they're way too late to do that. So they have to just go through mid. He has to just come through mid and then play with them. It's hard to kill Kazi, I guess. Unless he gets caught out. When he has summoners, it's hard. But again, it's the summoners as well, right? You use both your flashes for this Baron fight, and then you don't have them, which means you need to watch your flanks and you need to be there first if possible.
Resulted in a very tense late game now. Getting closer to 35 minutes. 3 items is really where you see all of these scaling carries come online. The damage is going to get monstrous. There's now Kane is no longer split pushing. He's grouped up with the team. 5 versus 5. Laddie looking to get a quick face off.
As the TP, so can really quickly join back up with
So
the team.
close. He's waiting.
There we are. Lord Dominic's finished. TP's to the top lane, trying to get a bit of mobility, but he's done that. Vitality see an opportunity to engage. A window.
Get the push in top though. They do lose some space in the river, and Vitality will have first access into the lane. That's all and that one way pushing in favor of KC. Slowly putting pressure onto the map. Vitality. Kazi's positioning dangerous, but he forces Yike back.
Kan's going to catch the wave in mid lane though. He's now joined up with Carmine. Kazi stepping forward once again. Yike almost stunned. Kana looking
So
for that.
Kazi like gets through front line so much quicker,
Now seen, spotted by Vitality.
and Victor as well, obviously, at this stage of the game.
Basically game winning from this position. It does what it's designed to
So whoever gets this mid wave is going to have a lot of choice of like where to go, which is why all 5 people are there. Cannon's watching on flanks. The soul is really obnoxious, obviously.
game winning from this position. It does what it's designed to do. Yike's still looking for a flank of his own. That into movement from Kana and Yike. Just anywhere with steps.
Feel the tension. Who's going to find the engage? Kazi is on the front.
Target. Oh, Glacial Fisher stops in the man. Still giving into a cycle from Linces. It's perfect. Kazi and Triumph on touch, but not going down. Yike has the flash away. But Linces have the opportunity to go over Linces. The starter to Kana towards the top side. Breaking over for Hillside. Vladdy and Targus dive onto Kazi. Kazi has to pop the claim, but Yike is there as well. Can they see it?
Oh, I mean, almost.
Elder, only a minute away. We thought it was only the Baron in play, but the Elder Drake basically game.
Let's watch this one normally because I didn't see the end of the game, right?
Yike's still looking for a flank of his own. That hints
So Lintus now this time is watching Canna.
just if anyone oversteps.
No one is watching Yike, but they now see him. So Nakanaka is very far forward.
Oh, Glacial Fisher stops in the Magnus Sword going in as well. The cyclone from Linces is perfect.
Decent engage from Targamas. He hits 3 man on the Q, but then he gets stopped for his jump.
Oh, Glacial Fisher stops in the Magnus Sword going in as well.
The ult needs to just go for someone else and just hit front line.
Kazi and Triumph can't touch, but Nakanaka already down. Yike has the flash away. Kalist and Targus have the opportunity to open up on Linces. The
Lintus gets just like pushed away,
Vladdy
and then now
onto Kazi. Kazi has to pop the claim.
Kazi gets jumped on, and they're just too tanky with the soul. Like without soul, like these 2 people are dead, and
Dead, and Carmine Core have blinking health bars, but they all survive.
All 5 members live in the team fight. A great engage comes out.
okay, it's not going to be the end of the game, but it's going to be 5-man Baron, and therefore probably Elder.
I thought the Kazi was going to clean up, but he does not get the chance. Kazi dancing at the edge of death. Targus looks for his opportunity. A nice
I mean, if Kazi's ult lands, by the way, then he kills Yike, which means he also gets his reset, and I think the whole fight is different.
I mean, it's an absolute stomp as all 5 members walk away with the Baron and now the Elder as well.
Perfect timing for
So
Carmine.
you're going to get Baron, Elder.
Elder play time is just going to keep Linces at bay. Keeps him as far away as possible. Linces jumped in, there was 1 HP, but now the Elder's secured. And you have to feel Carmine Core had the opportunity to really open up the shutdown of his
Okay.
For the sake of Vladdy. Brings lasers from the sky to find himself one as well. Linces and Nakanaka.
That being a 2 for 2.
He's on a chase for more here.
About as good as you can hope.
He doesn't want to go any further. Jack will get the recall off 2 for 2 in the exchange. Elder remains on Carmine Core for 2 more minutes. Basically perfectly synced with the Baron buff.
I mean, we talked about it, Medic. What's so great about this KC roster is just the way they play the team fights. Their positioning, their target focus, their awareness, just their individual mechanics are often how they outplay a lot of their opposition. And Vitality, they made 1 too many mistakes in the ensuing fights that have happened past the mid game. And KC have used those fights to claw their way back to the game. You can see it on the gold screen in front of you. 3.5k was the lead that Vitality stands on now. 5.3k flipped on its head in favor of KC. The Elder Dragon, the Baron buff, they've set their sights on the Nexus, and they're looking to fight for next top of the standings.
Vitality can somehow survive the next minute. Everything becomes on as even again. You know, 5,000 gold lead at this point, although it's impressive, doesn't really matter too much when everyone is getting towards those core builds. Kalist has overtaken Kazi in terms of builds, but the damage from Vladdy as well. We've talked so much about Kalist this year, we talked about Kana as well, but Vladdy is having an absolute storm over split. Like, this guy has been on fine form. And last week he had a 10-1, 10-2 Victor performance. 40 seconds before the Baron and the Elder wear off. Carmine Core trying to take it all.
They're going to get an hib, and
In the mid lane, will fall. 30 seconds now remain. Vitality have the back away, and Vladdy
double inhib,
he's looking for more. Wave in the bot lane, still a little bit of a way away. Carmine Core might just look to close it out here. Glacial Prison hits, and down.
and Elder.
Kana with the shutdown. Linces with the cyclone just trying to buy himself a little bit more time. Target's gonna kill Kazi.
I think it's going to be the end of the game, right? Yeah. Okay, I mean, let's look. Oh, I'll look briefly because obviously this is the end of the day.
Go.
Away.
Comes in a little.
They were like 5k up at this point. Oh,
Across the wall, cyclone for the movement speed, and Hilly lands the stun. Hilly on fire on this Braum 006.
The victim.
All of that information. Right.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Medic.
14 minutes of 4k up.
So do I. Anyway,
This is a huge throw, but a very good early game.
mid lane. Victor. Speaking of,
And it was this one was really silly. Oh no, wait, sorry, that was it was later. Same position, but when Kazi's too far forward, because Hillisang's too far forward.
looking back through some of their VODs, their early objective control is they had a lot of really impressive.
Right now, there is a Drake a mid lane. Kana's looking for Kazi. Hilly caught out as well by
This
Yike.
part.
Carmine Core have some vision in the vicinity. A couple of control wards in the sort of the shadow.
This one is a big one.
For one,
Lead. The dragon's going to go
secure the smite. It does go over to Carmine Core. I don't even know if Yike
in an interesting state. Because
gives them another
at some
dragon.
point, Of course, Vitality
the top side. That's Carmine Core back in the game.
Then again, caught twice, and then on top lane tower dies.
Meanwhile, it's crucial for this is one of the biggest values
But then the big one is just this soul. Like you put yourself in a position where you need to fight for all the dragons. You can't just come to it late. Oof. Well, it's quite long to do all of these all in one go, but still, that's what we'll do for now. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing again the LEC review, except from this time, I'm going to do the LEC review in the morning, and then we've got scrims in the afternoon from 2:30. I'll be on for scrims, but I am going to publish my schedule and make sure that you guys can all see that and follow along. So thanks very much for watching. If you missed any of it, it'll be on YouTube as well as a VOD. So I will catch you tomorrow. Have a good evening and enjoy the games today, and I'll be watching them for tomorrow.